Shabbat Shalom Mishpacha. This is Kohen. Good morning to you over there across the pond in the UK, and good morning to USA and everybody else. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. A great morning to you, and I think we shall begin 10 minutes earlier. There's still stragglers coming in the room, and we'll wait for them to turn up. But today our Parsha was a Parsha from the book of Numbers, and it was to do with the initiation of the priesthood, and that would be chapter 8 verse 1, Behalotecha. The Parsha is Behalotecha in the book of Numbers, and it kind of speaks about Yahweh speaking to Moses and telling him to initiate Aaron to light the lamps. And also at this is a bit where God tells Aaron that he needs to initiate the tribe of Levi to become the priest. So this kind of starts off that bit. It starts off the bit with the lighting of the menorah. It starts with the offering of the young bullock and the grain offering to initiate the tribe, and then it kind of goes on and it ventures into different areas of what the tribe was supposed to do. And then it also, within this Parsha, other things are mentioned as well. Now, it may be interesting that it talks about the cloud, it talks about how God led Israel through the journey, and also there's also a segment where we see that Miriam spoke negatively about Moses. But I guess there will be parts in the next Parsha. We'll talk about the spies. That's next week. But there is a portion here that where the Israelite, we had Miriam in the Parsha also speaking negatively about Moses, and then God wanting to shut out Miriam with leprosy for 7 days. Seems a bit harsh, right? That God put Mary, who's a prophetess, out of Moses' sight for 7 days as a punishment. But really there are lessons in here that need to be learned, and we'll look at those lessons in a second. More so than the punishment, there are important lessons for our generation, because I don't think that people have really learned the lessons yet. And some people are learning, some haven't learned, some will learn maybe in the next generation, because we still are at a point in our life. I was thinking about the TV channels. I left England about 6 years ago, roughly, give and take, to come to the US, and I've been back and forth in England, and but I haven't lived in England actively since 6 years. I said my goodbyes and I left England, and here I am. And we've seen America go from strength to strength to become a nation that is become self-sufficient in oil, in other matters, and I believe that we will also lead in the next generation of energy. Because if you think about it, Tesla is in America, that's where Elon Musk lives. So think about the innovations that are going on in this country and that are going to lead the next decade. I'll probably say the next generation. This country will lead it. Now, there was a guy, I don't know who he is, some guy out of the UK, some misguided person who is writing all sorts of negative information regards America and regards, I guess, Saudi Arabia and other places. And he keeps bombarding people with emails. I just put his email in a dustbin. That's where it goes now. and because I think he needs help. He's kind of a misguided person and living in his own little fantasy world where America is destroyed, and I guess Saudi Arabia is destroyed, and maybe other countries are as well as a result of that. But he thinks he's a prophet of God. These people rise up every few years, and Rabbi Kefa probably testified to that. Every 5 years some idiot rises up and calls himself a prophet and starts to twist the scriptures in Revelation, maybe book of Revelation or somewhere else, and they start to make it sound like end of the world is here or about to come. He's predicting his end of the world or his end of America in 2 months, and people like that, really I don't pay too much attention to them, because this country, America, as a nation, we as a nation have gone through a lot of wars. We had the war with Vietnam, Khmer Rouge. We had our war with the Taliban, fighting the Taliban for 20 odd years or so. And really, as you know, we didn't get nowhere with those wars. They were just, there was just wars initiated for political reasons more than anything else. Not that the Taliban had any particular dislike for America, and not that the Vietnamese had any dislike for America either. There were political wars, and that kind of bore out in later generation when America itself acknowledged that what we're fighting a war for is pointless. And so this is the thing that people always look at the wrong that America does, but nobody ever looks at the right that America does. The amount of aid that America gives to the nations, amount of help that we send out to the nations. We hand out Israel anywhere from $4 billion up every year, on a nice pile of cash. We give other countries money. We send out vaccines to other countries free. We want to give free vaccine formulas to other countries. Nobody looks at the good that we do. This is the problem. People only look at the evil, or people only look at the wrong decisions that were made by a nation, and they don't look at the good decisions made by a nation. And so this is a kind of an interesting part, that I was thinking of those channels, when I was in England, and before I was in England, there used to be TV channels like Christian Channel, and there was a lot of different Christian channels. I don't even remember half of the names of those channels. And these were channels that were pushing out Christianity in one form or another, and yet 50 years, maybe they've been around for 50 years, maybe more, and where are we today? We still have suffering in the world, we still have poverty in the world, we still have death in the world, we still have illnesses in the world, meaning that they actually didn't achieve anything. They did not achieve the end goal. If their end goal was to bring a utopia in the world, well, they failed miserably. And people like Pat Robertson, they're a frail old, Pat Robertson used to sit there. He's a frail old man now, if you look at him. He's shaking like, he's got disease or something. My point is that all these people, right, they've creamed off other people, but they're really not given the correct teachings of Scripture to people. They only look to repair their big roofs and big buildings. Every time you switch that TV channel on, they're always talking about, we need to raise $20 million for this building we're trying to build, and away they go. That's what they do in TV, and I can guarantee you that you switch that channel on today, and somebody will be collecting money because they need to raise $10 million to do something. So, my intention and my sole purpose to teach, and when I came into the ministry more than 20 years ago, was to bring truth, bring reconciliation, and bring understanding in the world. And there are those that don't like it, and there are those that receive it. And those that receive it will benefit, and those that don't like it, they'll go by the wayside. It'll be like dogs walking on the side. Who cares? Nobody cares really. At the end of the day, if you have a dog barking in the park, do you really care? You just walk by. That's how it will be. Israel will continue to walk by, and the dogs will continue to bark, and nothing will happen to Israel, because Israel will continue to be blessed and benefited because of the Torah because of the correct teachings, because of the correct application of those teachings, we will continue to benefit. And those that don't benefit are those people that don't apply the correct teachings, the correct tools, and therefore they don't benefit. Now, in ancient times, we're talking about times when Israel was brought out of Egypt. And Ben is saying that indeed I'm a living testimony to the application of your teachings, Rabbi. Yes, you certainly are, Benny, you certainly are. If only other people would learn and listen, they would benefit themselves also. So the thing is that in the ancient times we had the cloud which was known as the presence of God. The cloud was hovering above Israel, and that was our GPS system. It was our Google Maps, it was our Waze, it was our GPS to take us from one city to another, one country to another. And if you go today from one country to another, well, you might use Google Maps, or you might use Waze, or you may use some other app. So how did that function? The way that Google Maps or the cloud of Yahweh functioned in the ancient time was that it settled in a place. Like your Google Maps tells you, you have arrived. This is your destination. And you're like, great, I'm here. And so, you come out of your car and yes, you are at your destination. Or maybe it's taking you the wrong side and you're not at your destination. So today we have the cloud as well. Because in the ancient times, the people who followed the cloud, the very first people, were the Levites, were the tribe of the priests. As soon as the cloud lifted, they said, okay, pack your bags, pack the tent, wrap everything up. It was like a modern DIY tent where you could just fold everything, put everything together, wrap it all up like your little tables and everything, fold them up, and you're ready to go. So the Levites were the first people to pack and ready to roll. And then the whole of Israel, imagine 2 million people ready to roll with the Levites, and the Levites said, let's go, the cloud is moving. And the cloud might move for 2 days, the cloud might move for 10 days. As long as the cloud moved, as long as that GPS system took you, you would go with that GPS system. And when the GPS system stopped, you stopped. And you said, okay, we're going to camp over here. And the Levites would set their new camp, their tables, their tents, their menorahs, their altars, and they're ready to go. So really, if you think about it, what does that signify? And with that, I wanted to take you to, we could probably go Deuteronomy 17 and have a little read, because I think it'll be instructional for us to look at the book of Deuteronomy, which is the last book of the Torah, of fifth book of your Bible, and it talks about the Levim, and it talks about in Deuteronomy 17:9 it says this. Let's see. We'll start with verse 8. If there arise a matter too hard for you in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within your gates, then you shall arise and get up into the place which Yahweh your power shall choose. Now remember, here you cannot apply this language narrowly. This is a problem with people. They think this is just to do with temple or just to do with in the wilderness. No, this is everything. This is the whole world. Between blood and blood could be somebody having one fight with somebody else over, some enemy feudal system. It could be, stroke and stroke, plea and plea, matters of justice, matters in the home, even marital matters, controversy within your gates. Gates here signify cities. They signify countries. You have problem in your country, you problem in your city, and then what does Yahweh's instruction say? You go to the GPS system, the ones who coordinate, the ones who will tell you what to do. He says, you shall come to the Kohanim, the priesthood, the Levim, the Levites, and to the judges that shall be in those days. Now this is not talking about at the time that Israel was in the wild, in the desert. It's talking about in the future, our time, 2021. It says, you shall go and inquire and they will show you the sentence of judgment. Who is they? They are the people, the sons of Aaron. So you shall do according to the sentence of which they, of that which place Yahweh shall choose to show you, and you shall observe to do according to all they inform you, according to the sentence of the Torah which they shall teach you, and according to the judgment which they shall tell you, meaning the decision they will give you to do with your situation. You shall not decline from the sentence. And it says, not to the right and not to the left. And any man that doesn't listen to the priest, he will be set aside, and he will not be part of the system. In other words, he will not be part of Israel. He will not be part of the camp. He says, you will put away the evil from your camp and let that person go. And all the people shall hear and fear, and do no more presumptuously. So this was a clear case of God telling people in the future, when Moses is not around and when Aaron is not around, where are they supposed to go to receive their instructions if they have problems. And today we have people with problems, we have people with issues, we have people with making decisions, but they're not sure how to do it. And so therefore they'd go to their rabbi, their priest, their judge, and then he will be able to instruct them what to do. And this is what this is about. So my point is that 50 years of Christian Channel, and if Christian Channel, it's probably done its good and it's probably done its wrongs, but if he had really done good, if he had done everything right, they were bringing Jesus into the world. Well, Jesus didn't come, which means that they failed in their so-called prophetic speeches. All these prophets, that sat on different TV channels, they all failed because the Jesus they were trying to bring, he hasn't come yet, and is probably never going to come, because their Jesus is not the Jesus of the Bible. Is totally different. So what is your cloud system? What is your GPS? How do you use your GPS is important matter that I would probably say. So it says also in the book of Numbers that the people who were murmurers, complainers, speaking evil in the ears of the Lord, in the ears of Yahweh, and when Yahweh had heard it, he was very angry, and the fire of Yahweh burnt among them and devoured uttermost parts of the camp. Actually, Yahweh devoured a lot of the people on the sides of the camp. Uttermost parts in the rears of the camp, the sides of the camp. People died with that anger. Now what does that actually indicate? Actually indicates that, speaking about negative speech, when all you do is you spend your living day talking negative all day long, or maybe you don't do it all day long, maybe you do it for an hour, and you live in negativity and you talk negativity, then you expect to be millionaire. Oh wow, wonderful, isn't it? Do you think you're ever going to get there? When you live in negativity, when you live in criticism, when you live in judgment, you will never get anywhere. So really, what do we need to do? We need to watch our mouths for a start. Next, we need to watch our mind, what thoughts we bring into the mind, and next the heart. So these are the important matters that a lot of people don't really think about. So really these need to be thought through. It needs to be thought through what we do. In the book of Matthew it says that with man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. And also in Matthew 9 I spoke about last week in verse 13, but go and learn what that means. I will have mercy and not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous but sinners to repentance. So who are these sinners? What does sinners here means? Sinners are here people that live in negativity, that live in a state. It's very important what state you live in. The state you live in is the state you manifest and the state you propagate. And a lot of people today live in a state which is not what they want to be, but they live in that state all the time. yet they want to be something different. So I had, I had somebody last night write to me that they're at the end of the tether, and haven't I heard this before from other people? And I told that person exactly what I will say here publicly, is that the state you live in is the state you propagate, because that is the state. If you tell yourself, and you don't have to tell yourself like verbally, you tell yourself in your mind, and you do that all the time, because you're running this little movie in your mind, and the movie in your mind says, oh, I got a bill to pay, I haven't got money. Oh, I got to do some shopping, I haven't got money. Oh, I got to do that, I haven't got money. That's the state that you propagate. That is the state, and we call it a negative state, but it is a state nevertheless, and you have to produce it, because whatever you do inside you, wherever your kingdom is, that's what you produce outside you. If all you're doing is, you're sitting on your couch, or you're sitting in front of a TV, and you're telling yourself that you have no money to pay a bill, that, oh, that person wronged you, he took away your $1,000, oh, that person, I gave him $2,000 and he wronged me, because I shouldn't have given him for whatever reason. 3 years later you decide you shouldn't have given him, or 10 years later you decide you shouldn't have given him. You are living in a negative state, because when you give money to somebody, and let me be very clear about this, very, very clear. When you give money to somebody, you do not think at that time, I'm doing an evil act. When you're doing kindness, because the Bible says Abraham's children will do kindness, but when Abraham's children do kindness and then later call it evil, they will manifest that evil. They will reap that evil, and they will continue to reap it until they stop or change. So when you have done kindness to somebody, and it doesn't matter how long you did it, if you've done kindness to the church, you've given your tithes and your zadaqah, your charitable offerings to the church, and maybe you realize later that maybe that wasn't the right place to give, some other place you should have given, but you let go. You call that kindness, and that is kindness. You don't kind of dwell on it and keep saying to yourself, oh, I shouldn't, oh, I shouldn't have, and I want my money back. You should never do that, because the kindness that you do, that kindness is done, and you're going to reap the rewards for that kindness. You gave it to God, God will give it back to you. But if you continue to fester it as a wound, then that wound will manifest in your life over and over and over. It's like a bad relationship. When you fester in the bad relationship, what do? You sit there in your office, or you sit there in your home, and you continue to fester that in your mind and say, oh, well, that man is evil, he did me wrong, and I'm going to do this to him, and I'm going to do it this way, and you kind of make a plan to do evil against that person who you feel has done evil against you. It festers like a wound. That will bring us a huge amount of negativity in your life. It will destroy you. It may not do nothing to that other person, but it will destroy you as a person, because that's all you live in. That's the state, by the way. So how do we this is what the Bible called the lack state. The lack. What is a lack state? A lack state is where you don't have enough. You continue to whine and whinge, and you tell your sister, you tell your brother, you tell your grandfather that I don't have money to pay bills, because whatever reason, because Joe Biden didn't give me a stimulus check. Then if you continue to fester in that state, then you will not have money to pay your bills. Then you will live in a negative and a lack state. And the lack state, just as Jesus' word, those that live in lack, says those that have less, that also will be taken away. Those that have more will be given to them. Because if you as a person are a happy-go person, and you a charitable person, and you give money to other people to assist them, then more will be given to you, because you're a charitable person, because you water your seeds in different places. But if you're a person who whinges and whines and who complains and moans all the time, then that which you have will also be taken away from you, because you're not a charitable person, and that lack that you have will propagate. So it's a state. So what did I write? I mean, let me find my email, if I can find what I wrote back, because this person had told me that they were suffering from lack and so I had to tell them that if you suffer from lack, then you're going to continue to experience lack, because you're always thinking about lack. So it's a state, and until we realize it's a state, we continue to live in it. So you manifest what you continue to live in. So this is what I wrote to her. If you continue to resent your present circumstances, they will persist because you are resisting them. This is your biggest mistake and a road to failure. You are in a resentful state, and it will continue in your life until you tell yourself thank you to all the experience you gained in your resentful state, and now you change your state. Start living in a happy, abundant state, and your exterior world will transform to it. That was my response to this person that's living in a resentful state. If you live in a resentful state, and I know people who live in a resentful state, believe me, there's plenty around me. I know people like that. And resentful state creates resistance, and resistance creates, it's a state. Don't think to yourself that negative people don't manifest. They do. They manifest more negativity, more resentment. When you live in resentment, you manifest more resentment. So what is the answer? The answer is to thank resentment. Say, thank you very much. I've learned beautiful lessons. Thank you for being in my life for the last 5 years, 10 years. Thank you, resentment. Thank you, negativity. You really taught me great lessons. I want to thank you, and I want to move on, and now I'm going to change my state. I'm going to switch to an abundant state. I am abundant. I am wealthy. I am riches. I am a multi-millionaire. I am Jackanory. And Jackanory used to be on BBC TV, I believe, in England, so with a story. So my point is this, that you have to change your state. And people say, oh, but Rabbi, I've been doing my affirmations and nothing's happening. It's because of the state you live in. If you continue to reside in a negative state, your affirmations will not change you. You must change your internals as well. You must set your belief, your feeling. Feeling is belief. Your belief system must change with it. When your belief system changes, things will change. Listen, people were asking me about advice on investment, and I gave them a name last week. I sent a name to my students, and this is the name I sent them. This is a real estate man, Cardone, Grant Cardone. You probably heard of him, or if you didn't hear about him, you heard of him from me. Grant Cardone is a billionaire. He is all over the YouTube and everywhere, and he does investments in properties. And Grant Cardone knows about the law of attraction, by the way. Yeah, because he speaks about it. I heard one of his free speeches, and I also read his little booklet that he sent as well. And Grant Cardone speaks about the law of attraction. He speaks about his initial experience as a homeowner, where he bought one house and he barely broke even, or just about broke even, and then he went into make bigger money, etc. And Grant Cardone, in his speeches, you can tell that he he's obviously he supports his church. He's some kind of a Christian man, or at least he has a heart to support Christians, and he supports his church. He talks about it, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But Grant Cardone's, he teaches you to take massive action. And this word massive action, this comes from a man in Texas. I think his name is, he's also a law of attraction guy. And I need to probably look up his name to get his exact name right. Jack something, I think his name is. But anyhow, this massive action idea is this, that if you are doing something, if you want to be rich or if you want to be wealthy, you have to take massive action, and then you can be, successful in what you do. So he throws in this little, you got to take massive action, things like that. He'll throw that in there in his speeches. And this is one of part of law of attraction formulas, is that you have to take massive action, otherwise you won't succeed. Okay, this is part of law of attraction formulas. But I digress, because I will challenge that theory anytime, any day. Anytime, any day I will challenge Grant Cardone's theory. But I'm not here to do that. He's doing some good work, and that's great, and he can give you some great advice on investments, and if you are that way inclined, then you should take that advice. So he also tells you that if you want to invest in Cardone Capital, if you had $1 million to invest, he says invest with me and I'll give you 6% return every year, $6,000 against your $1 million. Okay, so I'm back again, and so Grant Cardone tells you to invest $1 million with him, and he'll give you $6,000 for it every year. So he offers you that. Now, so this is why I will say, if you want to learn about property investment, by all means learn from Grant Cardone. He's a good guy. He teaches good. But although I don't agree with everything he says, because I will challenge some of his precepts and I'll prove them wrong, but I'm not here to prove him wrong or right. All I'll say is that he has some great advice. Take it and run with it. And this is why I say thank you, Abdul. Thank you for your information. Abdul is saying that, hi everyone, listen, I'd like to apologize for my behavior in any room before regarding any religious figure. No religious figure should be subject to insult or dishonoring. Thank you. Thank you, Abdul Abbas. So as I was saying, that Grant Cardone has his niche. Of course, Grant Cardone is going to say that give me the $1 million. Somebody asked me the other day, if I had the $1 million, and do you think it's a good idea to invest with Grant Cardone? And I said, are you crazy? Are you living in the land of the stupid? I said, you got to be a village idiot to do that, because if you had $1 million, you buy yourself 10 homes, $100,000 home, you rent it for $1,000, you're going to be making $6,000 a month. Come on, think about it. Don't be so stupid. If you're like 99 years old and you can't manage your home, then sure, give it to Grant Cardone. He gives you $6,000. But but don't be so stupid thinking that you're a young whippersnapper and you're just gonna park your capital at 6%. Forget it. I said, even Barclays Bank. I come from England. And Barclays Bank is in England, and Barclays Bank borrowed money in 2008 financial crisis from the Arabs, and even Barclays Bank gave the Arabs 10% or better for their money. Well, if Barclays Bank can give 10% or better to the Arabs, sure, Grant Cardone thinks he's doing you a favor, but he's only doing himself a favor. He's not doing you any favors. So that's my point. But that's only half the story. This is why I said, this is why I set out a challenge. I said, you know what? I set out a challenge that I will make you a multi-millionaire right from the couch you sit on. But you got to do what I tell you, then you will be the multi-millionaire. Because if you think you got to take massive action, forget about it. I know many people who take massive action. They are still trying to run a 9-to-5 job. So don't follow that that crap out there that you listen to. It is total crap. When you set your mind right, when you set your focus right, then things will come to you. You don't have to go nowhere. And one day, maybe I'll write about this one day. One day I will write about this. But today is not the day for me to write about it and talk about it. So therefore, yes, if you're the sort of person who doesn't have time, who has $1 million, and they want to park it at 6%, sure, go ahead, park it. But what if I told you I could double your $1 million into $2 million in 1 year? Would you park it? Or would you take the $2 million? Think about that. This is the difference between parking capital and using it somewhere. So you allow your capital to build. Look, if you were really crazy, when I say crazy, like if you were completely ignorant, that's what I mean by crazy. I don't mean you're literally crazy. If you're ignorant of investments and all you did, like let's say all you did last year, you said, you know what, I'm stupid, I don't know how to invest, I'm just going to buy Nvidia shares. And last year in 2020 you bought Nvidia shares. You don't know nothing about investing. You bought Nvidia shares at maybe $200 a shot for your $1 million. Well, today Nvidia shares are sitting somewhere around the $500 to $600 marker. You would have tripled your money just by doing nothing and sitting on your couch. By the way, you didn't do no massive action. This baloney about massive action, you didn't do it. You just simply parked your money in Nvidia. On the stock market, go check Nvidia share price today and you will see that you tripled your money sitting on your couch. Did you take massive action? No, you didn't. You just found you just put your money in Tastyworks. You put your $1 million in Tastyworks from your couch. You transferred your money into Tastyworks and you then took a shot at Nvidia and you said, you know what, I'll take my risk and I'll take my shot. I'll park my money with Nvidia. I'm not taking 6% from Cardone Capital. And Cardone Capital is probably great for many people because they don't want to do nothing. But you said, no, I don't want to park my money. I'm going to invest it in Nvidia. And Nvidia gives you 200% return. So your $1 million today is become $3 million. Now, is that massive action or is that very little action? Think about what I just said. And this is how some people are becoming millionaires. How do you think crypto people are becoming millionaires? Crypto millionaires and billionaires, by the way, billionaires. They became billionaires by investing in a small coin that was like 3 cents, 4 cents in a coin, and they bought 1,000 of those coins, or maybe 2,000, or maybe even 10,000 with their money. And a year later, that little coin that was worth 4 cents, suddenly it jumped to $4. And what did they make? Well, you can work it out. If you have 1,000 of those coins, you became maybe a multi-millionaire. Did you take massive action? So I challenge this massive action idea. It is absolutely false. It is not true. You got to take smart action, not massive action. Smart action. When you take smart action, the good ideas will come to you. You don't go nowhere. The ideas come to you. The wealth comes to you. When wealth loves you, when you have that love affair with wealth, wealth will come to you. So you have to build that love with the wealth. And the way to build it is not to cringe and cry and whine all the time. Oh, I gave that man $10,000 and now I got no money. That's not the way to live this life. What you've given, you thank God and you say, thank you very much that you allowed me to do that. I'm grateful. And I know that more will come my way. More money is coming my way. That should be your mantra. Your mantra should be, big money is coming my way. My problems have passed. Big money is coming my way. You change your life. If you just use the mantra, my problems have passed away, big money is here for me, you will change your life today, right now, if you did that, with a belief, with a feeling that yes, it's true, yes, this is what's going to be. You just change your state. You change your state from negativity to positivity. And coming back to Israel, ancient times, who didn't do that, well, what did Israel do? Whine against Moses, whine against Aaron and his sons, whine against everybody else, and just sit in their tents and yaddy all day long. And where did they go? Well, first of all, God's anger consumed them. Spiritually, literally, whichever way you want to look at it. Consume them means that they were made worthless. They lost everything. That could be seen in another way of consummation. So God consumed them, meaning also that God made them of no use. They were worthless. They lost everything because they lived in a state of negativity, and that state became their reality. So we must remember that the state you live in is a state you propagate, is a state you resist. If you continue to resist your negative state, you continue to just say to your friends or to yourself even, continue to say all day long in your mind chatter. I call this mental feeding or mental food. If your mental food all day long is, how I'm going to make 2 cents out of $1, then you will be in that negative state. Then you're in a state. Doesn't matter whether it's a positive or a negative. And a lot of the time people don't know how to execute a positive state. You know, my Aisha, my wife, the other day I found her and she told me, she said, do you remember that you brought me to this piece of land in that city in the east? I said, yes. She said, you showed me this plot of land and you picked up the dust and you threw it and you said, this is where our house will be. And she said, guess what? Our house is there today. By the way, Baruch Hashem Yahweh, my house will be complete in 2 weeks. And yes, there's a house standing there right now. And there was nothing there. Think about that. There was nothing there before. It was just earth. And there was no other houses, there, ready. And my friend phoned me the other day and he said to me, he said, you know what? Since you build your house over there, he said there's about maybe 24 houses around it now. So blessing takes hold. Where the Kohen goes, the blessings follow. Many other people followed. Even we have rich millionaire neighbors across the road. They came to that friend of mine and they said to him that, hey, that design you put out there, that design in the front of your house that you put, the little mural, I said to him, I said, make a little mural. I said, make a little mural in front of the house. It will be like a mountain. It will show a mountain and it will show like there's some flowers on it and a tree. I want you to make that mural because that will remind me of the Sinai mountain where God gave us the law. And he said, okay, I'll do it. And he did it. He made that little mural. And so the neighbors came, and these are millionaire neighbors, by the way. I don't even know who they are. I just, heard of them from him. And they come in their Land Cruisers and their big cars. They have about 3-4 cars in their family. And they come to look at their house. They're building a big house over there. And they're probably spending a lot of money as well on it. And so they came and they said, that mural you got on your house, we'd like to make a mural like that too. Can you tell us who made that for you? We want it on our house as well. And he said, sure. It's going to cost you, $3,000 and I'll get it done. I says, okay, please get it done for us. This is what happens. People will follow you if you are a leader. If you are a chosen person, people will follow you without you even telling them to follow you. I didn't tell them to follow me. I didn't tell them to come and take my mural design, but they came themselves. So we want that mural design. We really like that. And they said, whose house is that? Whose house is that you're building? And he said, well, this is my, he's like my younger brother to me, and I'm building his house. And I said, this is a really great house. And they say to him, and people come to him and stop and say, do you want to sell that house? He says, no, we're not selling it. People are giving asking price over there. What price you want? We're not selling it. So what's my point? My point is this, that the Kohen has set house in the east. And the whole point of setting house in the east, just like I set house in the west, in America, was that these countries will be blessed. These will be blessed nations. World Bank and the IMF said about the eastern countries, that country over there, they said, oh, they're gonna be down in their blah blah blah, GDP and all that baloney that they tell you. And then they turn around and said, oh no, I think that they're gonna go up. They're gonna maybe, we're thinking they're gonna 3%. No, we're thinking not 3%, maybe more. And you know what? I'll tell you what their GDP will be. Pakistan's GDP is going to be at least 5 to 6% this year. And Pakistan's going to do great because the Kohen set house over there. That's why. And the year I came to America in 2015, and Rabbi Kefa will remember what I said then, that this country is going to do great because the Kohen is set house over here. And we're going to do great. And we did great. And we did become a great nation. And we are a great nation. So just as this is a great nation, great blessings are coming to Pakistan as well. Great blessings. You know, there's a great shift, and that shift's going to happen because when a man of God, a chosen priesthood, goes and lands somewhere and steps somewhere and builds a place, what do you think is going to happen to that country? My goodness, many good things are going to happen to that country. So this is why I say to you, do not live in negativity land. Do not live and propagate that state. And you know, here's the problem. When Jesus of Nazareth, Yeshua went to, you know, he went to Bethany, and this story is told in John chapter 11, verse 17. It says when Yeshua arrived, he found that Lazarus had already spent 4 days in the grave, in the tomb. And Bethany was near Jerusalem, a little less than 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them in the loss of their brother. So when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. And Martha said to Yeshua, Jesus, Lord, if he had been here, or Master, or Rabbi, if he had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him. And then Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. And Martha replied, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection of the last day. But Jesus replied to her, I am the resurrection and the life. So, you see, religious people, they'll always give you religious mumbo-jumbo. See, Yeshua, Jesus, Torah-practicing Jew, Torah-practicing man, Messiah, prophet, you know, he was talking about the now. He was talking about what's going to happen right now. But Martha was giving him the mumbo-jumbo, you know, baloney that religion taught her. Oh yeah, it will happen in the future. Yeah, you know, when we die 30 years time, and maybe I'll see the kingdom 30 years time. But he turned around and said, no, I am the resurrection. He was saying that you can have it right now. And he raised Lazarus as a point that it can happen right now. But you got to change your belief system. A lot of people today in America and other countries, and I'm speaking about Christianity, Rabbi Zachariah saying, HaKohen, you told the Rabbim right in my house in 2015 to buy 20 bitcoins, and bitcoin was only $200 a coin back then. We all would be millionaires today if we had listened to you back then. Well, there you have it. You know, it's right there. $60,000. Bitcoin went to $60,000. If you bought 20 bitcoins, they would be worth a few $1 million for sure. You know, 1.2 million to be exact. So yeah, so you know, there are coins out there today that you could probably still invest in and do great, still do good. So Martha was living in religious land, whilst Yeshua Jesus was living in the present land. Jesus is a state. Okay, Jesus is a state. Jesus, in the Jesus state, Yeshua of Nazareth state, you know, if you're in that state, you're manifesting great things for yourself, because the kingdom is within you. The kingdom is not when you die and you get it. The kingdom is within you now. You have it. But if you're living in a negative, you know, despondent state, where it's going to happen when you die, that's a very pathetic way of living. Because Jesus also spoke about mansions, and he said, I go away to make mansions for you, so that when I return you have mansions. And mansions is also a state. Mansions is a way of looking at it as a state. A state meaning that mansion is your desire. The desire you put out is desire you get. Jesus is technically, you know, technically speaking, not literally speaking, but technically speaking, he is God within you, or the Word of God. The Word of God within you. And different religions use different, you know, attributes. You know, Christianity, they say Word of God, they say, and in Islam they say Kalamatullah, you know, is the Word of God, Word of Allah, they say in Islam. And so different religions look at it differently. But none of them apply the right technique. But if you apply the right technique, and if it is the Word of God, then that word of God is what manifests your desire. It's a state, and it's within you. So if you apply that state, so remember what I said earlier to my student, that if you resist, if you're in a negative situation, you resist, and if all your thinking does is all day long, all day strong, if you continue to think that how you're going to pay that bill, well, that bill then won't be paid, because that's the state you produced of lack. And lack will produce more lack, abundance will produce more abundance. You know, I said to my wife standing there in that little street where there was no house, and I didn't have a house there either at the time, and I said to her, I see houses down there on the right hand side. You know, there was the road ended, going down that road, the road ended on the right. There was nothing there, it was just flat, just flat lands. And I said to her, I see houses over there, I see shops over there. She said, where you see the shops? I said, over there. They're laughing at me. My friend's laughing. He's laughing. He's laughing. He's like, he says, boss has gone crazy. He says, I said, I'm telling you, I see shops over there. I see houses down there. And they were laughing. They were thinking I'm joking, but I wasn't joking. I was serious. I see houses down there, and today there are building houses down there. Exactly what I was pointing my hand to, saying, there's houses down there, I see them. And they're like, we don't see them. They're okay. I said, well, you don't see them because you don't have the eyes to see, but I do see them. But anyway, my point is this, that a visionary man or woman will see ahead of time. A person who's not visionary will be still living in the present world, will not see, because they haven't got that vision. They haven't got that vision. In order to get the vision, you have to prepare yourself. When you prepare yourself, you will get the vision. And how do you prepare yourself? You prepare yourself by listening, by meditating. I've given you many meditations. I've given you many Hebrew sounds that are very, very powerful. Hebrew sounds that will awaken you inside, that will generate fundamental changes in your internals. And you will not be focusing on negativity, you'll be focusing on Hebrew sounds. Gimel sound is one of them. That's one of them. Hakoshan is another. And Moshe is a sound. Abraham is a sound. These are sounds. And these sounds will generate reverberations inside your head, inside your body. They will move your chakras, your energy systems. And that's what makes the motion happen. That's what changes the world around you. Because you're no longer focusing on negative. You're no longer saying, oh, how am I going to pay that next bill? No, you're saying it's paid. Think about what I just said. Instead of saying how, you're saying it's paid. That's what you should be saying. And that's the problem, is that you're not following through with what I'm teaching you. Those of you who are having problems in your areas of life are the ones who are not understanding and not following the teachings correctly. And those of you who are succeeding, you already are on the right step of success. So instead of saying how, don't say how. Don't say I have a problem, because when you say I have a problem, you're in that state of creating a problem. You just created it. You just cemented it. You say, my problems have passed. My problems have passed away. They're gone. Big money is not coming. Big money is here. Big money is here. Rabbi Kefa is a witness to this. He's a witness. I sat in America. I didn't even go from America anywhere. And I told Rabbi Kefa, I said, I'm going to produce a Land Cruiser. I'm going to produce a Land Cruiser. I'm going to sit right over here and produce it. And he's like, okay, this is a test. This is a test to produce a Land Cruiser. Land Cruiser is worth about $50, $60, maybe $80,000 car. This is to prove your action is, massive action nonsense. It's all blown, it's all BS. I sat right over here and I produced a Land Cruiser. And Rabbi Kefa is a witness to that. I may have shown him a picture as well, by the way. Yeah, I showed him a picture as well. So that was gifted to me. And I haven't even driven it yet. It's still parked over there somewhere. I have not driven that car, but it is put in my name as a gift. And I said, you know what? When I go there, I'll see. I haven't got time yet. So my point is that you can produce it. So yeah, so much for hard work. Yeah, I did some real hard work. I was like sitting over here, and I was like, my imagination was that God is doing great works, and great works gonna happen. Big things are happening, and big things did happen. So my point is this, that you can do great things right from your home. You can do great works. Didn't Yeshua say it? Didn't he say it? You will do greater works than I. Well, I did. I did a greater work than he did. I produced a massive, I produced a really expensive car sitting over here, not even touching it yet. I produced it. So my point is, it can be done. When you heal somebody, I had 4 girls that were sick with coronavirus, and I sat over here and I healed them over there. And I said, how are you feeling now? They said, we're feeling great. So if I can sit over here and heal people in Afghanistan, then I've got power. And you can have that kind of power too. But do you want it? Or do you want to just whinge and whine all day long? Oh, I said that by Simon. Oh, he said this and he said that, and he's an evil man. Yeah, there are some people like that too. Do not sit in the company of the evil people. Doesn't that what Psalm 1 says? Do not sit in the company of evil people. Yet if you sit in the company of evil people, evil will visit you. And evil will manifest in your life. This is why we're told not to sit in the company of evil people. Absolutely, Benny. Benny is saying that likewise you healed me from my hepatitis B in the UAE. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Great works are done. Great works are done. So remember what the Torah said. What the Kohanim, what the priesthood said. What the priesthood will say is the word of God. What they say will happen. You are to listen to them. And so this is what it is. And Rabbi Zachariah is a witness. If I was so evil, and such an evil man, what the heck am I doing in Rabbi Zachariah's home, teaching Torah, and teaching them to love their neighbor, and teaching them not to hate anybody? Do evil people go do that, and teach people not to hate others? Do they teach them how to become millionaires? I haven't seen any evil people do that. Did Hitler do that? Did Mussolini do that? I don't remember him doing that. Evil people don't do that. Evil people will only propagate evil. And if you see evil being propagated, walk away. Walk away very fast. Don't even look back. If you look back like Lot's wife, you become a pillar of salt. That's a lesson, by the way. That's a lesson in the Torah, to do the instructions that were given by her husband to her. The angel said. What is the angel? The angel represents God. It's God's presence on earth. The angel tells Lot and tells him, quickly leave the city, take your wife, don't look back. And he tells his wife, and what does the wife do? Looks back. No, she's got to look back. And when she looks back, look back means that she went back to her old life. Negativity, whining. Oh, she loves to chat about the neighbors. That's looking back. Do not look back. If you want to be wealthy, you should be focusing at least a part of your day, whether it's the morning part of your day, whether it's the evening part of your day, you should be focusing on the good you can do. You'll be focusing on the good that can appear in your life. That's why I said, your affirmations. Your affirmations are not what my neighbor is doing. Your affirmations are this, that I choose to be a multi-millionaire. This is your affirmation. I and money are married together. We're an unbreakable covenant. Because a lot of you people out there do not have a love, do not have an understanding of the energy of money. This is why money runs away from you. Like, money has feet. Even if you got $1 million, some of you out there, even if you got $1 million given to you, You will lose it like quicker than quick, like this. It will disappear. You won't know what hit you, because you have no relationship with money. When you don't have a relationship with money, it will run away. It'll have feet and it'll have wings to fly away. But when you build that relationship, when you have that relationship with money, it will not run away. It will stay with you. It will come to you. So how do you build that relationship is $1 million question. Doing exactly the opposite of what you've done all your life. If you find yourself to be living with a 9-to-5 job and nothing has changed other than you got maybe a house to your name, maybe a car, then you got to ask yourself, what is it that I've been doing all my life? Yeah, I've been going to job, I've been doing the job, I've been filling the hours, I've been, doing everything, but I still haven't got that million plus dollars in my account. Why? Because you haven't changed your state. You were happy with your state that you were in. Now change the state. Now build a relationship with money. How do you build a relationship with money? See, these are the kind of things that you need to look at. Because when you are saying that you and money are married together and you have a covenant, you are building a relationship, by the way. A relationship. That's called a relationship. Because you're telling yourself that. Or if you tell yourself every day, what is Warren Buffett doing? How many billions is he investing? And why is he buying this share and not that share? You see, you can do that. You can follow Warren Buffett and maybe he will teach you a few things about investing. Or you can say, I'm a great investor. I am a great investor. So that the acumen can come to you. You can become a great investor. You heard about Reddit group of people, the group of people who moved the shares. They moved the game share from, I don't know, it was poultry sum, $5, $6, $10 to, it went up to $400 something. You heard of that story as well. And they're doing that all the time. I think they did it with AMC the other day. So they rocked that a little bit. So these are the kind of things happening today on the internet. So my point is this, that you got to change your state. If you're in a state, and this is I'm speaking to you, those of you who are living in lack land. If you're living in lack land and you're in a state of lack and always complaining and whining, and I know people like that, too close. Stop doing that. Now build a state of self-love. Love yourself and believe yourself first and foremost that God is doing great things for you. Believe that problems have passed. Tell yourself that all my problems have passed. Big money is here for me. Don't just say will be here. Will be here means that you lack. You want to say it is here means that it is here. When the story is given in the Bible of the woman, and it talks about that she only had a little oil, and the prophet goes to her and says to her, what do you have? And she says, only 2 little vials of oil I have. And it tells us to gather all the pots and pans you can, vessels, bring all the vessels you can, and she starts to fill the oil, and the oil doesn't stop. That's the story of lack versus abundance. She had lack before, and now the prophet comes and abundance comes, and abundance is so much that she doesn't have enough vessels to fill, and she's able to pay her loans off and everything, and get on with her life. This is going to be your life. This is probably where some of you live. Some of you live with problems, and these are natural part. Problems in your life are natural part. Maybe they're created by you. Maybe they're created by someone you love. Because some of you carrying debt. Some of you are carrying debt from your elders, from your father, from your mother, from somebody else that died. They left a debt for you on a house maybe. And you're like cringing and crying now saying, how am I going to pay all this debt? I have a $200,000 loan to pay. How am I going to pay it off? And all you think about, and by the way, you can multiply this 1,000,000 times, all you think about is that loan. All you focus on is how am I going to make the next payment for that loan. And guess what state you're creating? Young man, young woman. You're creating the state of lack. you're propagating the state of lack. But when you live in a state, you're saying that my problems have passed away. Big money is here for me to deal with everything. Big money is here. You already changed state. Since you changed state, the outside world has to change. There is no way it will not change. It has to change. It must change. Because you have changed state. So you have God within you. If you have God within you, your state has changed now. Now you're in the abundant state. When you are saying, I have eliminated all debt instantly. I choose to have eliminated all debt instantly. All debt will be. You already initiated the state. You already said that I choose to have eliminated all debt instantly. What did you do? You change your state. You're no longer complaining about that credit card payment. You're talking about that you already eliminated it in your state, internal state. When you've done it internally, externally it will come. Give it time. Live in that state. Live in the end. Live in that state. Believe in it with a feeling that it's done. And don't complain and whine, because complaining and whining is a resistance. And when you continue to resist, you will persist. Continue to resist, you will persist. Keep listening to my words. Continue to resist, you will persist. And if you continue to believe you're in abundance, abundance is here for you. Abundance will come. Because you now change state. You have activated the Jesus state, which I call the Jesus state, the Moses state, in which you are bringing in abundance in your life. Abundance will walk to you. You don't need to go anywhere and take massive action. Action will come to you. Action will come to you. I rest assured. If somebody told me, Rabbi Simon, you are telling people that you can be multimillionaire from your couch, prove it. Then I will prove it to you as well. But I won't do it right now. I will prove it one day to you that it is done. When you say it, it's done, it's done, it's done. When you believe it with that feeling, it is done. Somebody will come and give you that $1 million. You don't need to go nowhere. Now, you think about what I just said. Because what I say is God's word on the ground. What I say is God's word, okay? I have people lining up in the east waiting for me to come. And I'm serious. I have people lining up waiting for me to come and give them advice. And these are not your, people on the street waiting for their next paycheck. These are rich people. And I tell them when I will see them. And I tell them what to do. They don't tell me, oh, do this. No, I tell them. They ring me for advice. Now you think about that. Why would you go to somebody who's got only evil to give and is an evil person? Why would some rich people turn up to my door and say, please, give us some advice, we want to do this, and can you pray for us, or can you, guide us? Why? Because that person is chosen. And that person has some connection to the prophets of old. That's why. So I, rest assured, Rabbi Simon is here to help you, to assist you, to guide you. And I can just, that's all I can do. I can lead you to the water of abundance. The rest is up to you. How you, what you do with that water is up to you. I can't force you, but I can teach you. I have my students in all over the world. They're all over the world. And some of them are doing fantastic work. And rest assured, I'll continue to produce fantastic students. And some of you are going to become multimillionaires. And you're going to be thankful that you had the right teacher. And it's who you listen to, and it's what you do, and it's the execution that counts. It's not about massive action. It's about execution. When you execute what you've been taught, you will never go wrong. Look, I'll give you a simple thing. Take a bay leaf. Okay? Take a bay leaf and write on the bay leaf what you want in your life. and burn it and let it go. Put the ashes outside in the yard. Don't put them in your bin. Put them outside in the yard. Write on the bay leaf what you want to be, what you want in your life. Write on it. Put a number on it. Put whatever you want on it and burn it and let it go. Do it once a week. Do that action once a week. And the other thing you can do, take some rose petals. Take a rose petal every day. In your room, in your kitchen, wherever you can find safe space. Put 2 drops of camphor oil on it. If you have camphor oil, put 2 drops on it. Burn it. Abundance will walk in your life. Take salt. Take just ordinary salt. Any kind. Sea salt, pink salt, yellow salt, white salt, whatever salt you have. Take it. And place the salt in your bathrooms. On top of your bathroom cabinet. Place it there and replace it every month. Throw away the old, put the new in. These are just some of the things I'm telling you. You will remove negativity from your house. You will bring abundance in your house. And you will bring abundance in your life. And you will remove the curses of people in your house. People sometimes they say bad things about you. And they talk nasty about you. Even when you've done good for them, they talk nasty. You do that. You do that for yourself. And your life will never be the same again. Enemies will not be able to touch you. You will go from strength to strength, from benefit to blessing. And you rise, and you rise and rise. These are some of the things that you can do for yourself. There are many others, but these are the some that you can start, and you will change your life. So with that, I thank you for listening to me. I want you all to understand, to execute the words, and you will do great works. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Have a great, wonderful Shabbat. Over to you, Rabbi Kefa.
To RSAHK Kohen, great instruction, guidance, and direction going forward. Baruch Hashem, as we continue to move forward, that's totally awesome. It is indeed wonderful and continuously wonderful. Baruch Hashem, Tada for your responses. Tada, vive la France, Oliver, over there in France. Baruch Hashem, for all the Mishpachah, UK. Hey, keep doing your thing, UK. You done broke off from Europe. It's time for you to rise. You will rise, UK. Believe me, you will rise. And I will get over there to your museum where you have all our artifacts. I will definitely be over there. I'm telling you. It seems like the UK has all of our Hebrew artifacts. They're all over there. So I tell you that the UK is made out like fat cats when it comes to collecting, ancient artifacts. So I will indeed be there. I will indeed be there in the UK, and look forward to visiting and breaking bread with Lion King and Lion Princess as well with my family. But as we move forward, everything that Hakohen has said in his lecture, you can boil it down to one thing. It's about a relationship. The capital R word, the relationship. Relationship. Either relationship with yourself, which is the most important relationship ever. I understand, while you were sleeping, you understood that you had to make relationships with everybody outside of yourself. Now that you have woken up, I know, family, that you all understand that the most important relationship that you can ever have is with yourself. Because when you have that relationship with yourself, you have a relationship with God, indeed. And your relationship with yourself depends upon, how your relationship is with God. And that's real. And if you don't believe me, this Parsha bears it out. As we were talking about these complainers. These complainers, my goodness. And that's what we're going to look at today. That is what we're going to look at today. If I ask you the question, and I got this from this movie. Well, I think it was one of those, I can't remember the name of the movie, but he gets out there. How many of you remember this saying? Are you not entertained? What movie was that? I think that was one of my Gladiator movies. I want to say The Gladiator, if I'm not mistaken. And he finishes just, annihilating everybody in the ring. And then he says this, he drops the sword down, and he says, are you not entertained? And that's very, very important that's very, very important. How many of you watched the Gladiator movie? That's like a classic. That's one of my classics there. That's one of my most important classic movies is The Gladiator. Because he goes through so much, so many things and so many obstacles in his life, but it doesn't stop him and doesn't sway him from, meeting his marks and making his mission as he set out his mission to be, and as he set out his marks to be. Now, we all have different marks, and from what I understand and what I'm gleaming as a student of human nature is that there are so many different avenues to get where you want to go. There's so many ways you can do it. And as you understood from my Kodesh lecture, you can either do it the hard way, like you see most folks in the world. They may get where they're going, but they get there the hard way, or you can get there the easy way. And this is one of the, this is one of those misunderstood things that people will say, well, if it's easy, then it's not worth having. I know a guy right now who circulates his money just by driving around in a taxi, not really a taxi, but driving around in a security vehicle, just taking pictures of apartment complexes and taking pictures of buildings and things like this. But yet, he's not happy. Why? Because he feels like he's getting this money and he's not earning it. He's circulating this money and he's not earning it. He'd rather go home with dirty jeans on after working under somebody's, under somebody's house, or working on somebody's foundation, digging ditches. He'd rather circulate his money this way, and he's happier. I'm like, my goodness, man. But yet, he's still doing the, security job, driving around in the security vehicle, taking pictures of these, apartment complexes and making sure everything's okay, and, going checking on warehouses and buildings, these business buildings and plazas and things like this. But yet, deep down in his being, his desire is to be muddy and dirty. Any of you ever watched that show, Dirtiest Jobs, where the most dirtiest jobs that are out there, and people love doing them. People love doing these kind of jobs to where, you get dirty, you're working in sewage and blah, blah, blah. But there are all these kind of jobs that are out there, and people are happy and satisfied doing that. And he's entertained doing that. And so, instead of saying, are you not entertained, the question that the Torah was asking in this particular part of our holy books and history was, are you not satisfied? Because the people were not satisfied. And that's the question that I have for you today. You need to ask yourself this in your relationship with yourself. Is really, are you satisfied? And if you're satisfied being a ditch digger, then so be it. Or if you're satisfied sitting at home, making millions or thousands or hundreds of dollars just by hitting buttons, Baruch Hashem. Or if you need to, and there are people like that. When you get into the mindset of individuals, you realize that there are people that their energy is placed upon them having to produce the same amount of energy to get what they want. When you really don't. You let your energy do the work for you, and maybe you have to do, a few little things here and there, but it's not matching the energy that's out there, wanting to meet the desire that you want, the energy that you're producing in yourself. It doesn't have to be equivalent, mishpachah. People think you have to work hard to be hard, and you don't. I'm looking at it was just on Netflix the other. I'm looking at that Scarface movie. My goodness. I mean, this guy, he was making a lot of money in the drug business, but again, he was sitting down at his desk, or he was in his jacuzzi making deals, making relations, making deals, or he would outsource to other people, say, okay, you need to go out and do this. He would delegate his authority to other folks, okay, make sure this happens, and you'll be compensated for whatever you do. But, the thing about it is that you're going to find, as students of human nature, that some people just want to get out there and get dirty, and get their hands dirty, and that's just what it is. Rabbi Zakar, you probably understand this more than anybody. I mean, when you're working on a car, that's not one of the cleanest jobs in the world. You're working on a car, maybe the engine oil pan may fall on you, I mean, I've seen the mechanics. The mechanics that I've seen, you know, a lot of them don't have clean hands. You know, their nails are not as clean, but that's the nature of their job. That's what they do, and they love doing it. And they wouldn't change anything for the world. They're happy being in that particular state. And if you are, I say so be it, because we need these kind of individuals around. We need individuals that are willing to get dirty and love to get dirty. Not that they're willing to do it, but they actually love doing it. And I've always said this: do what you love and love what you do. Do you all understand that statement that I just said? Do what you love and love what you do. Now, I was listening to another millionaire out there, and you may know him. How many of you are familiar with the name Steve Harvey? Any of you familiar with Steve Harvey? Put up a capital S if you know or you're familiar with the name Steve Harvey. He's a very successful man of color. Now, he didn't start out that way, but he is a very successful man of color. Very, very successful. He said his father worked in the coal mines. And, you know, he started out poor. I think he was raised in the Pennsylvania area, out there in the sticks somewhere. That's where he grew up. To die for your responses. But Steve Harvey said this, and I think this was a great saying that he said. He said, your career is what you paid for, but your calling is what you're made for. Isn't that heavy? Isn't that heavy, Ms. Bahar? Think about what he just said. He said your career is what you paid for, but your calling is what you're made for. I mean, Israel, family, you all know we have a calling. Now, how many of you in this room have a career? Put up a capital C. You say, yeah, Rabbi, I got a career. But here's the thing. When you can take your career and marry it with your calling, to me, that's powerful, and that's happiness. See, there's a lot of people working a 9 to 5 instead of working a 5 to 9. You see, I work the 5 to 9. I don't work the 9 to 5, Baruch Hashem. But there's a lot of people that, they work the 9 to 5, but they're not happy. They're not happy doing what they want to do. They're not happy with where they are. But when your career meets your calling, to me, that's happiness. And I love caring for people. I love my career. And I know my career is my calling because I'm helping people. I love to help people. I'm in the helping business. And that makes me happy to help people. How many of you know money can make you money can help you make a lot of people help a lot of people, and also can make them happy as well. It really can. If you don't understand that money can make you happy, try to go and get you something to eat without any money, and tell me how happy you're going to be. I mean, think about it for a minute. Just think about it. So your career is what you paid for, but your calling is what you're made for. When you marry those two together, your calling with your career or your career with your calling, then you're going to be totally at peace and in complete joy. You're going to go to what they call work, and it's not going to be work to you. You're just providing a great service because that's what you love to do. Oh, well, I got to go to work today. I mean, you all need to pay attention to the nations that we're in and look at the human nature, the students of human nature and humanity that we're involved with, and really look at them and really begin to understand them. And this is what they think. Either they're saying, oh, well, I'm not happy with what I'm doing, or they're totally happy with what they're doing. And they're making a difference. Because that's their calling, to make a difference. To make the world a better place is humanity's calling. A lot of people aren't doing it. Because they're fixated on making themselves happy. And that is important, because if you're not happy, do you think the world around you is going to be happy? Think about that for a minute. You think the world around you is going to be at peace when you're not at peace? Think about that for a minute. So the question is, are you not satisfied? And this is what we have to look at when we look at our parsha. Our Kohen went through the cloud. I love the cloud. I love the cloud today. I love the cloud tomorrow. I will love the cloud tomorrow. I will love the cloud forever. The cloud. The cloud gives us guidance. The cloud gives us direction. When we take the guidance and direction from the cloud, you see, because a lot of folks misinterpret the cloud. As I've heard in emails from our Kohen that he gave me about this one guy, this Selassie guy. Good. I can tell he's probably connected in some way, shape, form, or fashion to the Rastafarian movement, the Selassie and all that, and, you know, another religion that was, you know, popped up. Another reason to smoke some marijuana so you can meditate. Well, I'm meditating just fine without having to. I'm getting deep into my deep realms of meditation without having to smoke any marijuana. Thank you very much. And when you look at religion, it's just a vice. People use it as a vice to, you know, a vice for a reason to do something, or not to do something, for that matter. You see? Instead of just being free. And that's what happens when you're under the confines of the Torah. You're totally free. Unless you all mixed up. Unless you're in the mix. And this is what happened to this people. This is what happened to this people as described in our Torah. When we look at Numbers chapter 11, verse 4, it explains that. And I read from the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, the Hidden Truth We Break Scrolls. You don't have this Bible, please add it to your library. It really help you in your understanding, in your relationship with yourself, and putting your mind in this place where it needs to be. But you deal with those, you get the mixed mind. Numbers chapter 11, verse 4. And the mixed multitude, there it is right there. Torah explained it to you. The mixed multitude. You get caught up in the mix. And you hear people, as students of human nature, and the people around you in your neighborhood, in your world, in your environment, they'll say this. They'll sit there and tell you in a complete sentence, man, I'm all mixed up. I mean, you've heard that before. Or my life is just a mess. Well, guess what? You see, you got to steer clear. Get away from these kind of people. Well, like our Torah says, separate yourself from this mixed multitude. Separate yourself from this mixed way of thinking. The mixed multitude that was among them fell into lusting. Oh, wow. The mixed multitude. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? Oh, here we go again. Who shall give us flesh to eat? Before we go any further, let's go back up and read this part right here in Numbers chapter 11, verse 1. Let's not put the cart before the horse, not in this instance. And when the people complained, I'm going to stop right there. Numbers chapter 11, verse 1. And when the people complained, you see, again, Torah is about relations. And the actions that people take in relations have effects. I keep explaining this to my daughter, that every action has consequences. Every decision that you make, there's consequences that are involved with it. There's consequences with every action that you take or that you make. There are consequences that are involved, good or bad. It can go either way. And the people complain. Now, I went to thesaurus.com and I said, well, just in case folks don't, because as students of human nature, we need to be able to understand the state of the state or the state of mind. Because none of us want to be in the mix. How many of you want to be in the mix? I don't want to be mixed up with anything. I see clear. I am clarity. Definitely. So I don't want to be mixed up with anything. Don't put me in the mix. I see clear. My road is clear. I don't have to put on the windshield wipers. I don't have to put on the high beams. I see clear. So I went to thesaurus.com and I said, well, what are some other antonyms? Well, let's look at the synonyms first. For complain. And I tell you what, Hakohen was naming them all like nothing in his lecture. But we need to be able to understand this so we can see this, so we cannot waste our energy or associate or connect ourselves with these kind of people. We need to distance ourselves from these kind of people, because these people can have an effect or an effect on you if you continue to associate or be around them. You know what I mean? That negativity harbors negativity coming your way, and I don't want to be around negativity to where it has an effect on me. I know we live in a real world where you have to balance out the two, but I choose to be positive. I choose to be, no matter what situation comes, I'm going to choose to be positive in the situation. And I'm going to look at the situation and find the positive in it, because there's positive in everything. Folks just don't want to dig deep enough to find it. So let's look at some synonyms from thesaurus.com for complain. Surprise, surprise, at the top of the list is protest. Oh my goodness. How many of you know people that protest around you? Oh my goodness. Do we need to associate with these kind of people? Hell to the no. Stay away from them. We're peacemakers, not protesters. We're men and women of peace. Okay, number one, a synonym for complain is protest. To grumble, I heard that in Hakohi's lecture. To moan, I heard that in Hakohi's lecture. To whine, I heard that in Hakohi's lecture. We need to recognize these things. These are people to steer clear of. These negative people, these whiners, these moaners, these grumblers, these protesters. Listen, sir, ma'am, I may not agree with you, but I respectfully agree to disagree with you. Hashem. And let's keep it moving. Let's shake hands. Matter of fact, let's go break bread together if you want. No problem. If you feel like you need to go out and work very hard and sweat from your brow and go home with 10 pounds of dirt in your house to satisfy your need of worth, of self-worth, so be it. I'd rather be in a suit and tie with my little bow tie on, feet kicked up and propped up on the desk. I mean, who doesn't want their Rabbi Zachariah? But yet there's people that don't. And I respectfully say, hey, Baruch Hashem, more power to you. I just agree to disagree. That's not my mental stance. My mind don't think that way. But if yours does, so be it. Come on, man, let's go have a soda together. Let's go have some tea together, okay? Baruch Hashem. The moaners, the whiners, the grumblers, the protesters, those that oppose. Another synonym for complain. Those that disagree. Are you getting it, Mishpahah? This is what we're putting out today. We're putting out information society, so you can see how those in your society are acting, and you can steer clear of that, or where their mind is. You see? People that are caught up in the mixed up. Protesting, grumblers, moaners, whiners, to make a fuss. Oh my goodness, to oppose, to disagree, to criticize. Oh, these people got burned for this, man. You don't want to be around it. You don't want to even smell you don't even want to smell the stench of it. That's how close you don't want to be to it. Steer clear of these people. Now, they may come your way. They're going to come your way. Because they want to put you in their camp. But that's not your camp. That's not where you are. The criticizers. The accusers. Those that object to whatever you're doing. Oh, so you're going to be a multiple millionaire? You're going to be a billionaire? Oh, man, you in that stock market? Man, I totally don't agree with that. Listen, Hakohi, and I'm sitting right here in my house, and Hakohi sends me this information about Grant Cardone. Great guy, heart in the right place. You know, he's on his journey just like we all are. Heart is in the right place. I mean, I'm not going to do everything the way, Grant Cardone did it, or the way he condones doing it, because I know there's an easier way. Man, Grant Cardone, when you listen to his story, he gives his testimony about his life and how, he got from where he was, from being, addicted to drugs, to a billionaire in real estate and other businesses that he has. My goodness. Yeah, he had it hard. And a lot of people will say, well, I had a hard life. I had a hard life. I object to some of the things that Grant Cardone talks about, especially the stock market. He doesn't agree. Oh, you know why? Grant Cardone, he says, man, I just don't understand that stock market. I don't understand how paper can make paper and paper. Well, guess what? Billions is made out of paper. Dollar bills, the Benjamins is made out of paper. So he's totally against. He's telling you take all your money out of the stock market and put it in real estate. That I object to that. I totally don't agree with that. Now you can diversify. You can diversify. You know, you can have multiple businesses, and you see that's what we're in. Your mindset, Israel. And if you don't agree with me, if you object to this, then so be it. But we can agree to disagree. Your mindset, Israel, is all about multiplication. You see, I want you to make that part of your affirmations, is that you are a multiplier. How many of you will affirm that this day, Ms. Bob? Those of you who are listening via Facebook or you're listening on YouTube, say it. Say, I am a multiplier continuously. I am definitely a multiplier. Because that's where you are. But get this. Most people are in the realm or the mindset of just addition and subtraction. All they know is just addition and subtraction. They teach it in school, addition and subtraction. Let me give you an example of those that have the mindset of addition and subtraction. Here it is right here. Yeah, my check came in. Let me just start looking at what bills I gotta pay. See, addition and subtraction. Man, I got my check in, I got this stimulus in. Now let me go see where I can go out and buy that flat screen TV. You added money to you, now you subtracting it to you by going to get a flat screen TV. That's going to do what? Can that flat screen TV multiply your money? You see, because Rabbi Zachariah, I'm in your camp. I am a multiplier. I'm not a subtractor. You see, I'm a multiplier. I'm a multiplier by tens, by hundreds. What did Yeshua ben Yosef say? Jesus of Nazareth, Yeshua. What did he say? He said 70 times 7, baby. that is a multiplier, Miss Bond. That's not addition and subtraction. I mean, how many of you are multipliers? You got to say it. You got to claim it. If you're not a multiplier, then don't claim it. I'm not going to force multiplying on you, being a multiplier. I'm not going to force that on you. If that's not for you, you know, Yah forbid, you cannot handle being a multiplier, I totally get it. If you better with 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 minus 10 because, I got this money now, let me look at all the bills that I got to pay off, and that's it. You'll say, well, I got this money, now let me see how I can take this money and multiply it. That's the mindset that you need to have. To top of that, the Lord said, Yeshua multiplied 2 fishes and loaves. Yeshua, his first miracle. What a multiplier. He took water and changed it into wine. what kind of, hey, listen, even in those days, let's look at it now. Even in those days, which one do you think was more expensive? Water, a glass of water or a glass of wine? Any takers? Any participants? Which one would be most, even in the days of Yeshua, which one would be more expensive? A glass of water or a glass of wine? Any takers? Well, which one would be more expensive? This is not a trick question. What do you think? What do you think was more expensive during the time of Yeshua? A glass of water or a glass of wine? Any takers? Which one was more expensive? I mean, in your opinion, what do you think? This is just your opinion. But I'm saying, now let's take that and go to 2021. Which one is more expensive? A glass of water or a glass of wine? Come on now. So what do you want to be? Do you want to be you just want to just start adding and subtracting, or do you want to be a multiplier? I mean, if Yeshua was selling that wine, he made more money at that particular wedding or that celebration event selling wine than he would have been selling water. Correct me if I'm wrong. Think about that for a minute. If you take Yeshua and you put him in today's time, and everybody's at this celebration, everybody's at this wedding, right? And you see nothing but barrels of water there, and Yeshua stands up and he says, hold up. All these barrels of water as crystal. And boom, all those barrels of water instantly became crystal. My goodness, champagne, Cristal. You drinking Cristal now. And you go up to the bar and you ask him, well, how much is the Cristal? Because I want to drink the Cristal. The Cristal is going to cost you a lot more than that barrel of water would have per barrel. Look at you. Investment mindset is multiplier. And one thing that I did learn from Grant Cardone that I'll take with me and I'm going to pass on to my children and my children's children is that you have to look at everything as what do you want to collect? You want to collect assets. This is what the wealthy people think about, and I'm a wealthy person, so I think just like the wealthy. Is that you want assets. You don't want 1 plus 1 plus 1 and divide and subtract 2 from it. No, you always want multipliers. You want assets. Things that pay you for you to have them. And when you begin to think this way, it's game changing. Game is over. You won. You've already won the battle and the war. You want assets. Assets is what you want. If you want to be wealthy, you want assets. I'm not talking about being rich. I'm not even talking about being a million. I'm talking about generational wealth here. Is that you want to begin to collect, to own assets. What are assets? Well, real estate is one of the greatest assets. Apartment buildings, assets, things that pay you to have them. Monthly, yearly, weekly. Houses are assets. If you got people in there renting from you, those are assets, man. Great assets. Apartment buildings, multi-family homes, assets. But get this. Go out and you buy a car. How many of you understand when you buy a new car and you drive it off the lot, what happens? Is that an asset? When you go and buy a brand new car, maybe you pay cash for it and you just take it off the lot. Once you drive that car off the lot, what happens to that car? Does it become an asset? No, the car loses value quicker than quick. Depreciation like no man's business, right? So you got to look at things this way. What am I circulating? Is it going to be an asset? Now, I'll tell you what, there's some particular cars that hold a lot more value than others over periods of time. You start getting into those big name cars, you can take those big name cars and take them and sell them back to somebody else and still make some money off of them. They tend to hold their value. Why? It's because they're well made, they're well built. But think about that for a minute. See yourself as a multiplier. You are a multiplier if you want to be. I'm not going to force multiplication on you, but that's what we are. We multiply. We don't subtract. We're multipliers. Put that in your mindset. So you can come out of the mix. You multiply. Well, I want to eat meat today. Well, let's see. How can we multiply meat? I understand we on the meat, and sometimes we park for a year. Sometimes we only park for maybe 6 months. Sometimes we only pitch the camp for maybe a week. So the minds weren't working. Why? It's because we're going to get to that in a minute. The minds couldn't work because they were too busy complaining, too busy protesting, too busy grumbling, too busy moaning, too busy whining, instead of thinking, well, wait a minute. Let's put some ingenuity together. With all these people here, there's some kind of way that we can still get our meat that we like. I mean, we're not, and get this, isn't this the beauty of it? When you look at our holy books and you see, what the God of Israel did for the Hebrews, is that, and this is another objection that I have with Grant Cardone. He's saying, you got to go out there and just, boom, be on it. Go get her, go get her, go get her, go get her. Well, look, in the garden. When we were, not in the garden, when we were out there in the wilderness, did we go full bore right on into the land flowing with milk and honey? No. And it's explained in this parsha. Okay? The cloud moved, we moved. The cloud parked, we parked. The cloud wasn't to go get her. Okay, let's go from A to B. The shortest distance from 2 points is a straight line. Let's do that. Boom, and we were there. No. Is that how it happened? Nope, we were out there going in circles. Bro, we were going in circles. What does that tell you? Cycles, circles. That's what we into. We're not into this, oh, we got to go full bore. Everybody, you take your energy bars because we're going to go at it. And we're not stopping for nobody. Nope, that's not the mindset. That's not the mindset that you need to have, Mishpah. That's not the mindset that I need to have. You see, at that particular mind, you see, if you're really in a rush, you're going to, before you know it, you're going to be grumbling, you're going to be protesting, you're going to be moaning, you're going to be whining, you're going to be making a fuss, you're going to be opposing, you're going to be disagreeing, you're going to be criticizing, you're going to be objecting. And that's not what we want, Mishpah. All these synonyms for complain at thesaurus.com. You don't believe me? Go look it up yourself. But we want the opposite of that. To be a multiplier, you can't multiply when you're protesting. You can't multiply when you're whining and moaning and in disagreement. We all got to be in one accord. We are one. Ahad, Rukashim, Shema Yisrael, right? We're one. We're not, this group is disagreeing with. You see, our Torah tells us when this happens, then we need to separate. We need to separate ourselves from this kind of group. This group, this mix. But what do we need to be? Let's look at the antonyms for a complainer or people that complain. We need to accept. We need to be happy. Do you know that's an anonym for complaint? It's to be happy, to agree, to help. How many of you like to help? To help. How many of you, your calling is to help? Well, you need to fire up some businesses that's going to help. And believe me, there are going to be a lot of people renting from my apartment buildings. I'm going to help a lot of people, Mishpah. Because a lot of people are going to rent from my apartment buildings. A lot of people are going to rent from these homes that I have. You see where I'm going? I'm a helper. I'm helping people. Hashem. And believe me, people need a place to stay. A lot of people don't want to buy houses. So be it. You can rent from me. You can rent. You can stay in my apartment complex. I'm gonna keep it up. It's gonna be well kept, well managed. The people there are gonna be happy. They're gonna be accepting of all people. Baruch Hashem. To be content, to support, to be happy, to delight, to praise, to please. Wow. The polar opposite of this complain mumbo jumbo. This is the energy we need to surround ourselves with. And if you can't surround yourself with this kind of energy, you have this energy in yourself, to where you bring this energy with you wherever you go. Accepting, to be happy, to agree. I agree to disagree with some of the things that Grant Cardone says. And I tell you what, with majority of my mentors, I don't agree 100% with everything they do, but I agree to disagree with them. But you know what? I take little things from them, and then I begin to change. And I see that, you know where I learned that from? I learned it from my Kohen. You take certain things from them, and you begin to use those things and make them better to fit your style. You know what I mean? How many of you know what I'm talking about? You have these mentors, and they're teaching you things about that you really want to know about. And they're millionaires and billionaires already, so of course you need to listen to them. Yeah, you should listen to them. But you take from them some of their, most powerful points, and you begin to use those. You don't take everything and you got to object to some of these things that they say. Some of the things just wacko. I don't believe in working hard. I'm not going to get out here and just drive and beg and plead. I don't have to do that. Because I have the power within me to will whatever I want, whatever I desire, and just to manifest it, boom, just like that. To where people bringing it to your front door, and people coming to you with it, say, hey, listen to this. Hey, this is right up. When I saw this, I thought about you. Baruch Hashem. Manifest it, just bring it. You call it, you reel it in, Rabbi Sakar. You just reel it in. So you begin to take certain things, and then you begin to use those things and retrofit those things in your particular lifestyle, in your particular style, or way you like to do things, and then you begin to apply it. And the slave becomes like second nature. Baruch Hashem. But right now, I would tell all the family, as as we raise our next generations to go forward, is to always make sure they do what they love and love what they do, and put them in fields that that are going to be helpful to other people, and you can't go wrong. And have them diversify, because you're multipliers. We don't have all our eggs in one basket. Why? Because we're multipliers. We multiply businesses. We don't add and subtract businesses. We're multipliers. By 10, by 70, by 100. Baruch Hashem. You want to be a multiplier in whatever you do, Mishpahah. You don't want to be a subtractor. That's these negators, these criticizers, these accusers, the complainers, the protesters. No, we accept. We be happy. We literally be happy. And I'm not talking Ebonics either. We be happy. That's our being is happy. We be happy. We agree. We help. We support. Hashem. We delight. I support you, whatever you want to do, as long as it's making you happy and giving you peace. I totally support whatever you want to do, because that's making you happy, and you're meeting your marks when you're happy, and you're at peace with yourself and full of joy and love. Baruch Hashem. A lot of folks just not happy with themselves. That's just the real deal. A lot of folks in human nature are just not happy with themselves. Why? Because they broke rule number one. This is the first relationship that you need to have, that you need to, foster and grow, is that relationship with yourself. You can't praise yourself. You can't please yourself. You can't support yourself. The first investment I ever made was in myself. Eddie's, you may not be in the room, but you'll hear it later. The first investment that I ever made, Eddie's, was in myself. That's beautiful, right? That's the first investment that you need to make in yourself. It wasn't in Warren Buffett, it was in myself. Consider that. So we understand the complaint game. Now we understand it. Now we know what to look for. You need to be on guard, and we need to know what to look for in our relations. Because, everything in life is about a relationship. A relationship with your garden, a relationship with your plants, a relationship with your pets, a relationship with your people. It's all about relationship. And we want to multiply our relationship. We don't want to subtract them. We want to multiply it, grow it. That's what we want. This is how we allow our lights to shine in these wonderful nations that we're in. These beautiful nations. I'm not going to sit here and grumble about my nation. I'm not going to moan. I'm not going to complain. I'm definitely not going to protest about this wonderful nation that I'm in. I'm going to support this nation. I'm going to be delightful in this nation that I'm in. I'm going to praise this nation. I'm going to, be happy in this nation. And I'm going to help this nation that I'm in. Baruch Hashem. I'm not going to hurt the nation. I'm not going to object to the nation that I'm in. I'm going to help them. Do you get it, Mishpah? Are you with me this day? Are you not entertained? Are you not satisfied? I'm totally satisfied. I'm totally satisfied. But we see these people here, when you're in the mix, you're not satisfied. You don't know whether you're coming or you're going when you're in the mix. Now let's go back to Numbers chapter 11, verses 4. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell into lusting. Well, I wonder why. It's because they had a negative attitude. They didn't sit there. If they would have sat there and thought for a minute, well, let me see. If I'm going to be content eating particular meats, let me see, can we invent something? Can we come up with some kind of system that while we're on the road, while we're on the journey, that we can still delight in the things that we like? And delight, by the way, was a total, was an anonym for complaint. To please us. What can we do to please us? Let's keep reading. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? You see, they're coming with the wrong, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's this article that just popped up a while ago about, some school bus, I think, was hijacked or something, and a lot of children were on there, and the hijackers let the children go because they kept asking questions and questions, and the hijackers got tired of the questions. They said, look, man, we out of here. We can't deal with these nuisances of the children always asking questions and questions and questions. And all the children were saved and free because they asked a lot of questions. They kept asking questions, like questions and questions. And the students were like, man, look, man, I'm not gonna deal with these children. We out of here. Let's go find another. Let's go find another mission. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, but you gotta. The question should have been, well, how? Yeah, we used to eat that back in the past. How can we even improve on what we had back in the past when we were in Egypt? We can even make it better. How can we improve? You see, that's talking about multiplying, not subtracting. You see how they subtracted there with their mindset? They're subtracting. Well, who can give us some flesh to eat? Well, my goodness, man. I'm pretty sure there were a lot of animals around. So what's really going on? What's the root cause of the whole thing? Because you're complaining and whining is baseless, really. Who shall give us flesh to eat? Oh, now let's go to Numbers chapter 11, verse 5. We remember the fish. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to stop at the we remember. Now let's look at that for a minute. We're going to go back to our thesaurus.com and look at this for a minute. We're going to look at synonyms for remember. Stuff's going to blow your mind. Synonyms for remember. To relive. Look, you relive is one of them. Look, man, you have been brought out of bondage and slavery. But you want to relive that moment? A lot of people do. We remember. I don't want to remember. I don't want to relive that. To remind yourself of something. So in the past, how are you going to be thinking about the future when you're reminded so much about what happened before? Where's all your energy going? It's not funneled and channeled in one way to really help you and assist you. And this is why a lot of people still may be having issues with manifesting. Because they reliving things. Here's another one of them, another synonym for remember, to look back. Surprise, surprise. Did you not hear that in Hakoin's lecture? Surprise, to look back. Yeah, I remember that time we had that fish fry, man, when we was in Egypt. Well, guess what? You're not in Egypt anymore. You need to be slapped upside the head, slapped into reality. Hey, man, we're on a journey now. Don't want to hear all about the journey. They want to reminisce. They want to remember. To relive, to remind, to look back. Oh, my goodness, I don't want to do that. Now, what you need to do with remembrance is to learn from it. That's another one of the synonyms is to learn, to remember, to learn from it. And then another one that the source.com says for a synonym for remember is to get. I don't want to get nothing from the past. I don't want to get nothing from remembering, but to learn from it. To learn the lesson from it. Because I don't lose from anything. I learn a lesson from it, and then I move it forward in the future. And I take it in my present to make my future so much better. They're not playing the same old record. To relive. I don't want to relive this, but this is what they wanted to do. That's like a slap in the face to the Most High, whose mighty right hand rescued you out of Egypt. Not only rescued, but protected you from the plagues. But yet now you want to relive the past. You want to relive, eating the good food. Neglected to mention that you were, oppressed and in bondage and mistreated and was unjustly ruled upon. You don't want to remember all that stuff. You failed to remember that part. But you remember the gut. You remember the food. Oh my goodness. Now, let's do this for kicks and giggles. Let's look at the antonyms for remember. And there's two that stuck out to me like night and day. What's to forget? And that's what you need to do. You need to forget the past. Forget about reliving. We living for the future. We living now. Make your future. Make it. They got to relive nothing and totally disregard. That's the other one. To disregard. The anonym. To disregard. Disregard that. You ain't to go back to all that. Disregard reliving. Just totally disregard it. Look at today, the great gift of presence, and take yourself into the future. Make your future how you want it to be. Do I have to go out and work for that? Or can I do that from the confines of my comfortable home, Bukashin? And then just watch it come in and watch it materialize before you. Well, how that? You got to worry about the how. Just believe that it is and it will be. How is irrelevant. If it comes in a drone, Amazon box from Jeff Bezos, it don't matter how. Steve Ford's gonna drop you a couple of million. Don't matter. Want to partner with you? The how don't matter. Because when you get caught up on the how, you're gonna totally miss the manifestation. Because you're going to be like, well, wow, it didn't come like I dreamed it would come. Oh, so I can't accept that one. Oh, wow, you just done totally shut the door on that manifestation that was right there, ready for you to receive, and you rejected it because, oh, well, I didn't dream it to happen that way, so it would. I tell you, true story. Hakohen brought this wonderful girl from Canada, beautiful girl, to my doorsteps. And do you know, we had a great relation, but her thing was, well, I had this dream, and if you don't say this thing in the dream this way, then you're not the man I'm to marry. I'm like, what the hell? She said this. So I had to, if I didn't say exactly what was said in her dream, then I wasn't the man for her. I'm like, my goodness. Then I guess you're never getting married. I guess you're never getting married because, who's going to know exactly, well, then you're not the man I'm to marry because it didn't happen just like it was supposed to in the dream. You didn't say those words in that dream. I'm like, what the heck? What the heck? But true story. My desire is that she's found a husband by now and even begat children for herself, but, my goodness. Oh, how you're going to miss out on a lot of great, wonderful things if you're counting on it to happen just like it needs to happen in your dream. It's happening, and you have to say these words. I'm looking for these phrases. I'm like, what the heck? What kind of game is this? You know what I mean? Instead of looking at what's right before your very eyes. Forget it. Disregard all that mumbo-jumbo. Shabbat shalom. Not Sean Clover. Shabbat shalom, son. You come back? Shabbat shalom, son. So, this is what you look at, and I'm like, well, okay, well, and I was like, man, I said, well, if the Most High, if the Most High wants to bring that my way, then it'll happen. If not, then my goodness, so be it. Good riddance. I wish you all the best in life. And I still do. I hope she's having a wonderful life up there in Canada. Like I always said, she could have 6-figure income in Texas, but she kicked it off in the tooth. Unwise girl. I tell you, Hakohen brought her to my gates, right to my doors. I tell you, not Sean. Isn't that something? I'm the better man for it because I went to the east, and believe me, I have not looked back. And I'm totally at peace. I'm totally happy. I'm totally content. I'm totally in delight. I'm totally with praise. But the energies just couldn't. The energy wasn't right. I'm like, what the heck? What kind of game is this? Oh, you have to say this phrase. I'm waiting for you to say this phrase that I heard in my dream. This phrase, and he said this phrase, and we live happily ever after. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, okay. You're a wonderful girl, beautiful woman, great heart, but, it's misplaced by this, it's displaced by this, this dream, this la-la land dream that, it has to happen this way. I'm like, my goodness. So, I think she's back up in Canada now, doing whatever she's doing. Well, I just hope she's happy in the whole nine. But there goes an example of that mixed mind, Mishpachah. You say you get with that mixed mind? When you start, we remember fish, which we did eat in Mitzrayim, in Numbers chapter 11:5. In Mitzrayim freely. Oh my goodness, isn't that like an oxymoron? You're eating fish freely, but you're in bondage, you're enslaved. Wow. Could you not say that these people's minds were mixed up? Do you see it, Mishpachah? But how are you going to eat freely enslaved? No, Sean, right? How are you going to eat freely enslaved? I don't get it. And the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlics. Now, I don't know about you, Mishpachah, but it seems to me somebody could have came up with some ingenuity, and you could have been growing these things. Man, you can grow these things in your house now. I'm pretty sure you could hook them up to a couple of those oxen, and you could have had them hanging while you're traveling, and could have been watering. I mean, it could have worked, but see, their mind couldn't get past that. The mixed mind, you can't, because you're too busy reliving the past, trying to, I remember this was so good. Well, how can we engineer that on our journey? I mean, if you understand, on your journey, you can engineer a lot of things, right now, Sean? You can do a lot of engineering. But their mind wasn't ready for that. Yeah, Papa there. Because you could. We go back, the thought process, the complainers, the moaners, the whiners, the opposers, those that want to disagree, they want to criticize. Oh, in verse 6 of Numbers chapter 11, but now our soul is dried away. My goodness, these people act like they dead already. My soul is dried up. Oh my goodness. My soul is dried away. There's nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes. Oh my goodness. Wham, wham, wham. Right now, Sean? Wham, wham, wham. Now, Sean don't even do that. Right now, Sean? Wham, wham, wham. The moaners, the groaners, the complainers, the opposers, the accusers, those that want to object to the journey and the journey regulations, the stipulations, and protocol. Oh, no, we can't do that. Yeah, the manna's coming down, but couldn't there be some ingenuity within the group to say, hey, we can still grow all this stuff. There's no problem. We just got to engineer it in a different way. You know what I'm saying? They weren't thinking like that. They didn't have that kind of thought process. Right now, John? They didn't have that kind of thought process. So it didn't happen for them. It didn't happen for them that way. And that's just what we're dealing with. It just totally didn't happen for them that way. So as we learn from this, what do we need to learn? What we wanted to put out today is the signs and the symptoms so you can see and understand. The signs and the symptoms so you can be able to see it for yourself, so you can steer clear of these kind of people with this kind of behavior, with this kind of attitude, with this kind of mindset, the mixed up people. And there's going to be a lot of them around you. Just don't let it affect and effect you. These people making a fuss and opposing and mumbling and groaning instead of being happy and content and supportive. You may not like what they're doing, but support them. Hey, man, if it's making you happy and you're totally at peace with yourself, then go and do it. Be happy. Enjoy life. Don't try to relive the past. Enjoy life. Make your life what you want it today. Don't let these be these hiccups in your way from your manifestations. Don't let that happen to you that way, Mishpachah. Doesn't have to be that way. But we have to see it for what it is. Don't let complaining come and creep into you by the protesting, because you're still complaining. You're criticizing, you're complaining. You're opposing, you're complaining. You're whining, you're complaining. that's kryptonite to your energy, to your positive energy. But what does it do? What does it do? It infuses your negative energy. It just empowers your negativity, and you don't want to be negative. You don't want that. That's not in your affirmations. Right, Nachan. Whatever you said, that's so true. So don't complain. Right. So the question is, are you satisfied? And if you're not, then you need to look at your environment around you and look at yourself, to where you get to the point to where you say, I am satisfied. I am happy. Huh? It's in mama. And I'm trying to hear teaching, huh? It's in mama. Okay, you go mama. Okay, well, you are happy and you are satisfied. And you are at peace and you're pleased with yourself, right now, Sean? Yay. Now, Sean went to the zoo for the first time yesterday. Oh, my goodness. He had a good time at the zoo. He saw the tiger, he saw the lion. They're all asleep. He saw the rhinos, right now, Sean? Nah. He saw many great things, and he's so happy at his animal kingdom. Right now, Sean? He had a good time. We had a great time. So that's what life is about. Being happy, full of peace, full of love, you know, and at the same time, doing whatever you want to do to give you that. Whatever vehicle that may be. But always remember, keep your family first. And always remember your family and all the decisions that you make, because that's going to have an effect on your legacy and your family ahead. And creating and making a generational, whatever you want to make, generational wealth, generational peace, generational love. How does all that happen? I'm going to end with this. I go back to what Steve Harvey said. He said this: your career is what you're paid for, but your calling is what you're made for. Marry the two together. Make career and calling a relation. Marry them together, and believe me, you'll be happy. Do what you do what you love, and love what you do, and you'll be totally happy. Totally happy. I tell you, Nakshan, one of his vehicles is going to be IT. He loves IT. Boy, he loves his iPhone. He loves the computer. He loves looking at the markets and the charts. He loves all that stuff. Why? Because I said it right down in front of me. That's what we do, and we're happy doing it. It's not a labor of love. It's a love of love, because that's what we love to do. Now we're looking at houses and different apartment buildings and complexes and stuff, and I sit him right on my lap and we do that. That's what we do, and that's what he'll see. I didn't get to see this when I was a child with my father. I didn't see all this. I definitely didn't see the stock market, and I didn't see what stocks are, and I didn't see like graphs and charts. I never saw that with my father. But I'm not going to relive the past. I'm making future now. So what do you think Nashan's gonna like when he grow up? Oh, the coding. He's definitely gonna be in the real estate field. He's gonna be in the investment field, and in the currency market, the forex, and in the stock market. He's gonna do it all. Why? It's because he's gonna be equipped with the proper tools, and he's gonna love what he does. And he's gonna do what he loves. Baruch Hashem. And I know we'll wrap it up. But Steve, I tell you, thank you for that, Steve Harvey. That's a great saying. Your career is what you paid for, but your calling is what you made for. Marry those two together, and you'll see wonderful things happen in your life. You'll be happy. How many of you like to get up and go to work? Everybody should say, yeah, I like to get up and go provide service, go to work, whatever you want to call it. You should love to do that. And even if you're working from home, you should love to do it. Whatever makes you happy. You like to get up in the morning. We all should love to get up in the morning and show gratitude and thanks that, you know, we have another day that we've been given the breath of life within our bodies. Baruch Hashem, to go out and do great things and to help people. Help our family. Help people. Baruch Hashem. So on that note, we'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. I say Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to all of you. Todah Rabbi for you who are listening in via Facebook and those that are listening in on YouTube as well. Todah Rabbi, keep your questions coming in. Some may need assistance on rerouting what kind of questions you need to be asking. There's a lot of people are asking the wrong questions, and I'm going to hear 1,000% agree with that. A lot of folks are just asking the wrong questions. so they can never get on. You can really judge a person, where they are just by the questions that they ask. I mean, think about it for a minute. You say, well, okay, I see where you are, and I see where you need to be. Let's see if we can assist you in getting there, if you really want to get there. So on that note, we'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. I'll say, have a great 6 days of labor ahead. Have an awesome Shabbat. And, put your families first. And love yourself and have that great relationship with yourself right now. Shabbat shalom, 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 Mishpah. Over to you, Akohi.
Yes, Todah for that, Rabbi Kefa. And, I'm going to give you a really great affirmation, but whilst I was looking and this news item popped up, you remember I told you that Pakistan is going to be a great blessed nation, just as America. It's going to be greatly blessed. And I just read a headline that said Russia-Pakistan signed deal to build Pakistan Stream gas pipeline. This deal was just signed yesterday, I believe, and apparently they're going to build an 1100 kilometer pipeline between the two countries so Russia can ship 12.4 billion cubic meters of natural gas. So there you have it. There you have it, right words out of my mouth. That's going to be a blessed nation. And the things are going to change. The next 5 years are critical and key to the up of the nation. Blessing and blessings. Multiplications are going to happen. Many multiplications are going to happen. Now, I speak to my students here, there, and everywhere. And there was one student of mine that was having some difficulty with finances, and isn't that a story of many people today? Talk about one student, you multiply that a few times over. And so I gave this affirmation to this student, and things kind of changed, and money started to roll in. Here is an affirmation: copious sums of money flows to me freely, easily, and continuously. Copious sums of money flows to me freely, easily, and continuously. So when I gave that affirmation, similar worded affirmation to my student, and I told her that this is what you repeat, this is your mantra, and this is what you're going to say day in and day out, and this is what you're going to believe. Remember, belief is important. And she did, and things started to change. Money started rolling in. Dribs and drabs, not dribs and drabs. $20, $50, $100, $150, $200. That's how it happens. That's how it happens. What would you rather have? We want that $1 billion just to drop by? No, $1 billion never drops by. It actually comes in, smaller amounts. And when it comes in smaller amounts, you build into it. You build into your millions. You don't just become a billionaire. You first become 1,000-aire, then you become 100,000, then you become 200, then 500, then from 500,000 it goes to 1 million, then from 1 million it goes to 2, 5, 10, 20, 100 million, 150 million, 200 million. But I never saw a man that went from zero to $1 billion overnight. No one can do that, by the way. It doesn't happen like that. It always happens with amounts, copious sums of money. That's what builds you. Copious sums of money that you use your intelligence, God-given intelligence, to invest in the right places, and that God-given intelligence comes to you because you're asking for it. You're believing in it. That's how it comes to you. It doesn't come to the dumb and the daft and the ignorant. It doesn't come to those people, by the way. They remain poor. Yeah, the dumb and the daft and the ignorant, they will remain poor. And those are the people that Jesus spoke about. He said, the poor will always be with you. The poor will always be with you, because they are the dumb and the daft and the ignorant. He wasn't speaking about people born poor. The people who make themselves poor in their life by their own actions. There are those people that are born in families with lack, but the lack only comes to them because of their belief system. It's not because God made them poor. Poverty, if we talk about poverty, poverty is a disease. It's an illness. It's a curse, and it can be removed. See, when you accept a disease and a curse, it sticks with you. When you reject it, it goes away. This is why I said to you, never accept a disease, never give a disease a name. Don't ever say, oh, my doctor told me that I have, blood pressure. Well, your doctor can go eat cake. You don't have blood pressure. You're healthy. You're whole. You're wonderful. I am healthy. I am whole. I am wonderful. I am great. Well, that's what God said. But the doctor said otherwise. So who do you want to believe? Do you want to believe your doctor? Or do you want to believe the God that lives within you? You decide on that. This is very simple. When you believe your doctor, then you will be in the hospital 24/7, and you'll be like, your doctor will be your God. So don't make your doctor your God. And by the way, I'm a physician as well, qualified physician, and I tell people that before I even give you anything to cure you, you need to believe that you're cured. And don't label a disease. Don't say, oh, I have diabetes, oh, I have blood pressure, oh, I have, insomnia. Don't give your diseases names. When you give your disease names, you will take them on as your pets. You do not want pets. The only pet you want is abundance, good health, wealth, happiness, joy. These are the pets you want. I am joyous. I choose to be happy, because you choose the things you want in life. You choose to be miserable, then you are miserable. You choose to be unhappy, then you are unhappy. You choose to be poor, then you are poor. And you say, but how did I choose to be poor? Very simple, by your actions and by your inner talking. What I call the mind, we call it the mind food. Mental brain food. In your mental brain food is all going around, money, bill. And you do this, bill all the time. And I know people like that, who do that. And you know what happens to them? Poverty stays with them. They've already given their poverty a name. It's called bills. So when you don't do that, and I've spoken to poor people, I've spoken to them. And I told poor people, I said, you're only poor because of you. The day you change the day you change your state, that day your poverty is gone. It will never stay with you. But you got to let go. You got to let go. You got to believe that it can go. Because it starts with you. It's just like a disease. The disease starts with you. You either can call it a pet, or you can say, no, I'm not going to take this. I am healthy. I am whole. I'm in perfect continuous health. But if you're going to say, oh, I got this pain, and I got a headache, and I got this, and I got that, and this. Some people are like that. You know what we call them in our society? We call them there's a word for it. And some people are like that. They're always complaining about pains. And we say that there's a particular word that in different cultures they use for such people. And the word escapes me. But you can't be that person. You are not that person. You will never be that person. You don't want to be that person. Even when you have a little problem, don't give it a name. Continue to tell yourself that you're healthy and you're whole. If you're having a hard time saying it, go in front of the mirror and do it. Stand in front of a mirror every morning and do it. Oh, you call them vampires, do you, in France? Okay, that must be a French term. And different cultures, I guess, have different terms. And so you must, practice. Go in front of a mirror and practice saying the terms I told you. Hypochondriacs, yeah, that's definitely one term. They're hypochondriacs, right? Because they're always talking about illness. They're always talking about them being ill. And they want attention. They want to be the center of attention. That is right. Hypochondriacs is a term they use in England as well, and in America. So my point is this, that what I want you to do, you get up in the morning and you stand in front of your mirror and you say this to yourself: I am riches, I am wealthy, copious sums of money flows to me freely, easily, continuously. I'm in continuous healthy mind and healthy body. I'm a multi-millionaire. I choose to be a multi-millionaire. These are the kind of things you need to be saying to yourself. And then don't ask the question, well, how is he going to come? Is he going to be the lottery ticket? Is it going to be, am I going to find gold in the street? Am I going to find the suitcase that somebody dropped in the street? No, don't question of how. That is not your call. God will deal with the how. You only do the belief of the yes, it's here. And here is a little secret that you can learn. Little secret. The secret is this, that you involve your mind in a conversation with somebody. Somebody you know, friend, family, friend of the family, sister, brother, whoever. You have your little conversation with that friend or family, and they tell you what you want to hear. You hear it in your mind. This is your brain talk. When you're sitting there doing nothing and your brain's doing overtime, and you direct your brain and you do this. And you do this. And when you do this, you get your 108 beads and you just chant. You just chant wealth. 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 You clear your mind. Or you can do Gimel. 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 You do your Gimel 108 times. You clear your mind. Now you brought yourself to an important point. Now you see yourself in an imaginative act that person, that friend of yours is saying to you, hey, congratulations for your $1 million that you've got. And you're saying, thank you. Or maybe that $100,000 job that you just got. They're saying, hey, congratulations on your $100,000 job that you just got. You're saying, thank you. And you hear that conversation over and over again. You hear it continuously. You hear that voice. Congratulations, you become a multimillionaire. Thank you. Congratulations, you become a multimillionaire. Thank you. That's all you got to do. Now, it doesn't matter how it comes. Doesn't matter if it's going to be a scratcher. Doesn't matter if it's going to be a lottery win. Doesn't matter if it's your uncle's just given you $1 million. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how. That person just tells you, hey, congratulations, you become a millionaire. Yeah, thank you. It's wonderful. But if you're dealing with problems, all problems have passed. All my problems have passed. Money is continuously circulating in my life. All my problems have passed. Money is continuously circulating in my life. Go do it. And you will see the results. But if on the other hand, you're a complainer and whiner, then I don't need to tell you the result. You already know the result, because that's where many people live. You don't want to live there. You do not want to live there. That's the state, by the way. That state is created by you. You are creating that state. You're propagating it. And then you're blaming everybody else around you. Oh, it's because I gave you $100. Oh, it's because I gave you 1,000. Oh, it's because I gave you 500 that time. Do you remember that time I gave you $500? It's because you caused my poverty state today. Some of you do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to live there. If you live there, you will regret the day you were born, because you'll never get out of that cycle. But when you live in the different state of manifesting wealth, and you're manifesting it, and it may come in small chunks, $100 here, $200 there, $500 here, $250 here. It doesn't have to come in one big chunk. It can come in different chunks. And then you are in a state of producing wealth. So be in a state of producing wealth. I'm giving you some of the techniques. Your mind talk is, your mind talk. And I'm talking about your mind when all those thoughts are coming in, the 70,000 thoughts that you get in your mind. Those thoughts can be detrimental to your health, to your wealth. They can make you, or they can break you. So you redirect them to make you. Because your thoughts are going to be, you forget and you start thinking the wrong thing. And you suddenly bring yourself back and you say, no. All problems have passed. Oh no, I have that problem. No, all problems have passed. You continue to bring your mind back. All problems have passed. Money is circulating in my life freely. All problems are past. Money is circulating in my life freely. And you will not have the money problems that you do. Every time your mind strays, inner mind strays, and says you have some problem, you bring it back consciously. You bring it back consciously. And when you go to bed at night, I told you many times to watch a good video. Download it, maybe on your laptop, on your telephone, or wherever. Download it, one of these billionaire videos, multimillionaire videos with nice pictures, cars, nice houses. Watch that as before you go to bed. The last thing before you go to bed, even for 5 minutes. Don't tell me that you don't have 5 minutes for yourself. If you don't, you hate yourself. You got to make 5 minutes for yourself before you go to bed. And just watch that video. For 5 minutes only. Just some nice pictures. Pictures of, nice houses. Pictures of nice cars. Pictures of nice, ocean views maybe. Those are the images you take to bed with you. And then when you're about to sleep, you then can repeat what I just taught you. You can repeat that, or you can imagine it. And you can see big money. You can see experiencing big money. You see big, lump sums of money in your hand. And your mind will continue to wear. Let me give you an example. And Yael is saying that that's exactly what happens to her. She had to corral that mind of hers and bring it back when I want it to be in abundance, affirming conversation. Let me tell you what happens. This is really the truth. Let's say that you're a married man or woman. You have a fight with your wife. And your wife, she gives you a few curse words, and you give her a few curse words. And then what happens, you stop and you go your merry way, your wife goes and does her thing, and you go do your thing. And then what happens is that you sit there, and your wife sits at the other end, wherever she sits. And you're thinking in your mind, that stupid bee and all that. You're thinking all these bad things in your mind. Why did she say this to me? How dare she say this to me? Your mind is now playing overtime. And she is thinking, how dare he say this to me? I'm going to teach him a lesson. She is thinking, she's not saying it out loud. She is sitting there, over there somewhere else and saying it. You're sitting over here and saying it. Well, what are you creating? You see, both of you are creating an extremely negative state. And that state will lead to divorce. Before you go to the divorce court, you've already done it in your state. You already created a fight. And you know what will happen? Both of you will go from peace to enmity to divorce to becoming bitter enemies of each other. And you know what did it? Your mind, that mental diet, that mental thought process where you continually said, I'm going to teach her a lesson. Why did she say that to me? And she is saying that I'm going to teach him a lesson. How dare he say that to me? So this back and forth in your mind, because you're focused, and I can guarantee you this is what happens. Why do you think we have 70% plus divorce rates in America and in the rest of European hemisphere? Why? Think about that. This is why we have it. Because we are never in a place to say, you know what, I'm going to live in peace. I'm going to live in abundance, and I'm going to live in reconciliation. You don't say, as a husband, you don't say, I love my wife, and I'm going to learn to love my wife more. Instead, if you're always saying in your mind, I hate that woman and I'm going to teach her a lesson, then what are you creating? You're creating a state of divorce, bitterness, enmity. But if on the other hand you said, you know what, yes, my husband made a mistake, but I'm going to love that man. I'm going to change my internals. I see myself loving my husband. Yes, he's done some wrongs, but I'm going to change all of that, because inside me, I love my husband. He's a great man. He's a wonderful man. And you continue to say that. He's a wonderful man. He's a great man. He's a lovely guy. And if you as a husband say, my wife is a lovely woman, she's a great woman, she's great, she does wonderful things. Now see the thing? There is no divorce court. There is no enmity. There is no fighting. Fighting stops because you stop the fighting internally. You change your state. You said, you know what, I accept the wrongs that I did. I'm going to change my state. I'm going to become the great person that I am. And my wife's going to be the great woman that she is. And when you change your state, your mental food that you feed yourself within your mind, that is so powerful for creation. And this what goes the world, this makes the world go round. So you must change your mental diet. Your mental diet is got to be what you want to see in the other person. And the other person must have the mental diet of what that other person wants to see in you. And that can change everything. That can change everything. So start to practice your mental diet. Now, one way to do it is, of course, when you sit down and do it. The other way to do it, if you're finding it difficult, that your mind wanders, what you can do is record it. Record those statements. You record the statements that I am wonderful, my wife is wonderful, we have a loving relation, we love each other, we are beautiful together. Those statements, you record them and you play them in your mind. You play them 3 times a day, 4 times a day, you play them. Maybe a minute of statements, but look at the result, that it will create a massive result in your lives. Because you're no longer thinking about hurting the other person. You're thinking about bettering the other person. But so when you change your internals, then the outside will change. What did Jesus say? Jesus of Nazareth said, the kingdom is within you. And what else did he say? He said, whatever so you bind in heaven will be bound in heaven. Whatsoever you loose in heaven will be loose in heaven. Well, where is the heaven? Well, if the kingdom of heaven is within you, heaven is internal. So what's binding and loosing? Making decisions, making changes internally, so they come outside as well. That's really what Jesus said. He was talking about making changes, good changes internally, and believing in them, and then the outside will reflect those changes too. Think about, that's how you apply it. This is how you're meant to apply it. If you want to be rich, then rich is not going to come from 9-to-5 job, is it? However, if you said to yourself that you're in a $100,000 job and you made the right investments, then you made the right wealth. And then your wealth will multiply, and your wealth will continue to multiply. So yes, that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to start making smaller investments in different places. There are many ways to do it. There's not one way. There's millions of ways to do it. Some people did it from cryptocurrency, some did it with stocks, some did it with land, real estate, others did it with different ways. Everybody has everybody has a different gift. Everybody's gift is different. There are many ways that God can bring millions into your life. There is not one way. There are many, many ways. You need to just set your belief system right. Make your state the state you want to see yourself in, and you will change your life. And these are some of the techniques that I teach you how you do it. And the Bible speaks about it over and over again. Like religiously the Bible speaks about it. Let the weak man say, I am strong. Let the weak man say, I am strong. Why does the Bible tell you that? Then the Bible says to write the vision, script it. Script what you want to be. And so you scripting means exactly that. Script it, write it. Write what you want to be. Put it in the present tense. Don't put it in the future tense, put it in the present tense, but write it. And then it speaks about, it says, it goes to an angel visits Gideon. But the angel doesn't say to Gideon, hey, you over there, you weak-minded, smallest of the small, and you idiot, you thinking to yourself that you are the weakest of the weak, here I am. Angel doesn't say that, does it? What does the angel say? You mighty man of God, you mighty man of valor, hey you mighty man, hey you mighty prince. See how you speak to somebody. And then Gideon turns around and, but I'm the lowest of the low. I'm the lowliest. You see, the ideas that you pick up from Paul. See, some of you pick up your ideas from Paul. oh, Paul said that I'm the sinner of the sinners, the worst of the sinners, and I must say that. That is the worst thing that you can do. That is the worst thing you can do for yourself. You never say that you are the worst of the sinners. Because Paul is speaking from a totally different platform. Sinners here doesn't mean that you're an evil person. Sinner simply means in the Torah context means that you didn't get your manifestation, didn't get your desire. So if you didn't get your desire, you're a sinner. That's it. You didn't meet the mark. You didn't meet your mark, you're a sinner. But you met the mark, then you're not a sinner. So you got to change everything around. You got to change your world. Next you sit down, you have your Shabbat meal. And you do your Shabbat meal and you sit down and you make a game plan and you say, okay, these are the areas that I need to change in my life. A, B, C, X, Y, Z. I'm going to write this down. This is what I want to be. This is what I can be, and I am. I'm a millionaire. I'm going to write it, I'm a multi-millionaire. And you write it. And you say, I'm going to stand in front of the mirror and tell myself that I am that. And I will be. So it's all a state of mind. You must choose to put yourself in that state. And I challenge you to do that. Because when you do that, wealth will come to you. You will not go anywhere. Wealth will come to you, knocking on your door. Hello, I want to be part of your life. It's not the other way around. What the world teaches you is not true. It's actually false. What the world teaches you. What you hear from TV is false. It's a bunch of lies and hogwash. You change your life, you change your state, you change your life. So from today, change your state. All problems have passed. Money is circulating freely in my life. All problems have passed. Money is circulating freely in my life. Maybe you do it for 5 minutes and you forget about it. You go do something else, you come back and you remember it, you start doing it again. And that's how you're going to get it. That's how you're going to get there. It's a process of, process of elimination, process of perseverance. The idea to get up in the morning is to follow a ritual, or to do it late at night is to follow a ritual. When you place yourself in a ritual, you place yourself in a mindset. Now you're ready to change your life. Okay, so have a great day. Wonderful Shabbat. A wonderful day ahead, wonderful week. Baruch Hashem Yahweh, take care of yourselves and your family. Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.